Thank you very much, beloved extended family. I want to start the proceedings that is customary at our university by professing and pronouncing one of the many versions of the Hotep in a suit. So if you would stand for a moment, please, so that we can open the proceedings. Hotep in a suit, Is.mp4, Disanu, Putkaru, Katau, Kahunkatu, Kakao, Kaapadu, Kaseshu, Mahukitu, Kaket Nabet Nafr Wabet, Ma'at Unk Naturin, in Ka and Aku and Makiyu. And everyone say, Ma'akeru. It means true of voice. In our vernacular, I ain't jiving. Thank you. Supreme thanks and praises to the one most high, omniscient creator, the source of all sources, in existence and non-existence. Unrelenting love and thanks to my immediate family who share this incarnational cycle with me, my father and mother, may they rest in peace and power. My children, Shamika, Ahmed-Ra, and Kai Tehran, and their beautiful mothers, Charlene and Gail, and to my grandchildren, Sahai and Issa. I wish to express in words my special love, light, and transcendent bliss to my present wife, Queen Empress and soulmate Dr. Nalani Sotretira, for joining me at this stage of my personal journey, for having enriched my life with her living presence and unconditional support of me and my work. And I would like to give thanks and praises to all of you who came and to give a special recognition and honor for a wonderful presentation to Queen Afua. Thank you very much for that. I'm going to try to do our best to stay within context. I know that I have given you the name of a specific lecture that I wish to do, but during the time that I was preparing it, and it's all prepared, that particular name, something else came up, something very drastic. So I'm going to shift and do something that is a follow-up to a previous lecture that I did back in Baltimore. Beloved brothers and sisters, we should all know by now that we are all unwilling participants in a war being prosecuted for the domination, subjugation, and parasitic possession of human biospiritual energies, as well as planetary resources. Our thought patterns are not only being monitored, but synthetically modified and manipulated within algorithmically constructed neurological energy patterns that were specifically designed to induce the collective intelligence index of our autochthonous peoples to spiral downward into progressively lower frequency bands of consciousness. Biodisruptive frequency technologies have been set up globally to distort and disrupt humanity's higher access to cosmic self-awareness. The first stages of the strategy to undermine and possess the human mind and soul has been to separate us from the empathic frequencies of nature, to estrange us from the psychosymmetric algorithms of life, and communicate us or discommunicate us through our higher instincts, which then give birth to natural thinking, symmetric reasoning, and natural behavior. All this they have accomplished through tactical implantation of synthetic memes. That's a word that has just been introduced into the social lexicon, the meme. Well, they have accomplished this through the tactical implementation and implantation of synthetic memes, using the algorithmically constructed news broadcasts of multimedia to coordinate and control the behavioral reflexes of the masses. In essence, weaving a pathological perceptual construct of algorithmically coordinated paradigms of self-regulating mind control. With diabolical efficiency, they have disrupted and co-opted the flow of organic continuity. Think about that. There is no natural synchronicity anymore. Everything you think is happening moment by moment has been artificially structured, and you are following an artificial pattern of behavior that you are synchronized with. All active and passive tactics and technologies used to colonize, systemize, and adversely utilize our thoughts, our dreams, our visions and intentions represent aggressive efforts to scientifically preempt or methodically attenuate those higher cerebral frequencies associated with human spirituality, human evolutionary thinking, the psychogenetic transcendence, and by immersing us, the collective mind and the collective cognition of the masses, into an ocean of algorithmically structured synthetic schematics of reality. Today, I wish to explore with you one of these patterns, an algorithmically coordinated pattern of political deception that, when finally discovered, may have devastating consequences for peoples of African descent here in America. A program algorithm uploaded into the Psychosocial Index of America back in 2008. Now, lights, please. Okay. Technical difficulties. And here we go. First things first, to protect my, which really doesn't mean anything, as you know, to protect my intellectual capital, I will read into the records. This private lecture seminar entitled Decrypting the Asymmetric Algorithms of Psychopolitical Warfare, the spook who got in, or including all words, intellectual concepts, context, and precepts in both audio and visual forms, are limited to the sole use of Dr. Phil Valentine and host representatives of King Simon Productions and the intended recipient participants of this lecture seminar dated 16 June 2013 AD, and contains privileged, proprietary, and confidential information that is not for sale, display, or representation except by the first two parties aforementioned. Any and all political, private, or public entities, federal, state, or local corporate governments, municipalities, international organizations, corporations, agents, investigators, informants, or bystanders, et al., and or third parties working in collusion with above agencies to collect information by monitoring this presentation and or any other means of electronic spying and collecting content without our exclusive permission are barred from any and all unauthorized review, use, disclosure, or distribution. All images utilized in this presentation are displayed in accordance with Title 17 U.S. Code, Chapter 1, Subsection 107, notwithstanding the provisions set forth in Title 17 U.S. Code, Subsection 106 and 106A. With explicit reservation of all my rights, without prejudice and without recourse to me, Dr. Philip Valentine and University of Commission Sciences, any omission does not constitute a waiver of any and or all intellectual property rights or reserved rights. Notice to principal is notice to agent. Notice to agent.
Notice to principal.
Thank you. Now, I wish to dedicate this particular lecture to a good brother who has just suffered a massive stroke. One of my colleagues, beloved brother, Bobby Hemmett. Let's all show him some love. Our good brother, we're sending good energies to him. His love offering, his love gift, his love, I forgot what it's called, was up to $26,000. Now you need to give yourselves a hand for that. moving right along, I have changed the context of this particular lecture purposely. And you all have been requesting that I do the black news for a long time. And I have not. Everybody said, when are you going to do the black news? But I thought I have been. All the crap that we've been going through and everything that I've been showing you up on the screen, that is the black news. But I said, well, let me specifically put that down. Well, the black news is going to be one where we are going to investigate what it is that I had put out as a conjecture a while back. So we're going to get into the energy itself. The first thing we're going to overstand and understand is the art of war. Now, in the art of war, anybody heard the art of war? Sisters and brothers, we are familiar with the art of war. Well, that is exactly what's being conducted upon us. And we do not take this book very seriously. So I'm going to show you how they manipulated this book and manipulated the rest of America and the world and did what they did to change the paradigm and change it in such a way as to endanger each and every one of us on this planet. It's already started. Sun Tzu has said in the practical art of war, the best thing of all is to take the enemy's country whole and intact. Hence, to fight and conquer in all your battles is not supreme excellence. Supreme excellence consists in breaking the enemy's resistance without fighting. And y'all ain't put up a fight in, oh. You see where I'm going? Oh, it's going to get better. The skillful leader subdues the enemy's troops without any fighting. He captures their cities without laying siege to them. He overthrows their kingdom without lengthy operations in the field. All warfare is based on deception. In making tactical dispositions, the highest pitch you can attain is to conceal them. In battle, there are not more than two methods of attack, the direct and the indirect. The difficulty of tactical maneuvering consists in turning the devious into the direct. Attack where he is unprepared. Appear where you are not expected. If he is in superior strength, evade him. If temperamental, seek to irritate him. Pretend to be weak, that he may grow arrogant. Just as water retains no constant shape, so in warfare there are no constant conditions. He who can modify his tactics in relation to his opponent and thereby succeed in winning may be called heaven-born captain. If you know the enemy and know yourself, your victory will not stand in doubt. If you know your enemy and you know yourself, your victory will not stand in doubt. Well, I figured that I would pick that. Remember this particular title that was being broadcast for the last month and a half or two? This was the original title of this lecture. Decrypting the Asymmetric Algorithms of Psychospiritual Warfare, Part 1, the electromagnetic induction of synthetic consciousness algorithms for the purpose of manipulating intent. There go our titles again. Now watch. This goes viral. Somebody pimps it. Somebody takes it and puts it and goes, they're going to change it. They're going to say, mind control. And then somebody going to come and say, you did a thing on mind control about warfare. I never did that. The reason why I do these is because these titles give you a synopsis of the entire lecture so that you can understand and understand what it is that you are going to be getting into. But with that, I found that as a result I had to change it. I had to create something very quickly because of the times, calling it decrypting the asymmetric algorithms of psychopolitical warfare. Because I already did the psycho-spiritual thing, it would be a redundancy, wouldn't it? But let me show you what has been going on underneath the layer of BS that we've been getting. You will see. Now, the subtitle of this was one of my favorite titles, The Spook Who Got In the Door. Y'all know where I'm going, right? Oh, it's going to be deep. Y'all going to be mad at me, some of y'all, especially the nationalists. Y'all going to hate me, but that's all right. I've been doing it for the last, 30 years? And everybody been mad at me before. Now everybody's saying, you know what? Brother Valentine said this. I can't remember when, but. Good. So now we know what we're talking about. So let's start at the mental levels. The word asymmetric, what does it mean? The absence of harmony, proportion, balance, and patterned self-similarity. All of this will mean more as we go along. Let's talk about what an algorithm is. And this is something that the Moors and a lot of our brothers and sisters who are following the Moorish paradigm should also know, especially when they're teaching our children mathematics. The word algorithm actually descends from a word, and you will get to see what this word is about as we move forward. Although there are no formal definitions for that word, an informal definition would be a set of rules that precisely defines a sequence of operations, an effective method expressed as a finite list of well-defined instructions for calculating a function. Now, the people who are playing with the paradigm of our control have already structured an algorithmic pattern of control for the last 70 years. That's how far into the future that they work their magic on us. You are 70 years behind their plans. Don't even think that you feel like you're going, and this is the problem we have. We are reactors. We don't act, we react. And that's how they keep us back on our feet. But you see, one of the best reactors in the business was Muhammad Ali. And until we learn to float like a butterfly, because that's all we've been doing is floating, we ain't learned to sting yet. We've just been backpedaling and defending, because we haven't really understood the game and the rules of the game and the algorithmic patterns upon which they have set and structured their control mechanism. The concept of algorithm is also used to define the notion of decidability. In other words, I'm going to decide what I want you to do. And by instituting a program algorithmically, I know every move you're going to make before you make it. Because I'm instigating and I am precipitating and I am supplying the stimulus for you to do exactly what that pattern has been structured to do. Central for explaining how formal systems, i.e. governments, come into being, starting with a small set of axioms and rules. In logic, the time that an algorithm requires to complete cannot be measured, since it is not normally apparent to our customary physical dimensions of perception. Therefore, they could set a paradigm of control on you, and because it is not physical that you could pattern your mind around it, what happens? You don't know that you are acting upon something that you think are your own thoughts. You think are your own behavioral reflexes. They don't belong to you that way. They're not yours. So what is an algorithm? Well, algorithm is a transliteration taken from the name Abu Abdullah Muhammad ibn Musa al-Qazribi, a master mathematician, astronomer, and geographer who served during the Abbasid Moorish Empire. He was a scholar in the House of Wisdom, or Bayat al-Hikmah, in Baghdad, which was a library, a translation institute, research center considered back then to be a major intellectual hub during the golden age of Islam. The word al-Khwarizmi, transliterated al-Gorithmi or al-Gwarizin, pronounced in the classical Arabic as al-Gwarithmi, where the Latin transliteration of his name, algorithm, is derived, hence algorithm. Other words of the discipline of mathematics that reflect the importance of al-Khwarizmi's contributions to the word algebra. You did it all. Algebra, derived from al-jabar, one of the two operative techniques he used to solve what are known as quadratic equations. Let's start with one. Interesting how we have not been more vociferous about this thing here, about what happened. And remember, I told everyone that this would happen. Back in the day, I warned that they did not protect this brother. Let's go into what it is, and the reason why I'm doing all of this, you know that every time I do something, I do it because guess what? It's going to be something you can refer back to later on. Check? Check? Check. That's what I'm talking about, church. This was taken directly from gay Edgar Hoover's counterintelligence program under the category of black nationalist hate groups. How can we hate? He's still in power. We really hated him. He wouldn't be. The purpose of this new counterintelligence endeavor is to expose, disrupt, misdirect, discredit, or otherwise neutralize the activities of black nationalist hate-type organizations and groupings, their leadership, spokesmen, membership, and supporters, and to counter their propensity for violence and civil disorder. The activities of all such groups of intelligence interest to the Bureau must be followed on a continuous basis, so we will be in a position to promptly take advantage of all opportunities for counterintelligence and inspire action in instances where circumstances warrant. Efforts of the various groups to consolidate their forces or to recruit new or youthful adherents must be frustrated. No opportunity should be missed to exploit through counterintelligence techniques the organizational and personal conflicts of the leaderships of the groups, and where possible, an effort should be made to capitalize upon existing conflicts between competing black nationalist organizations. When an opportunity is apparent to disrupt or neutralize black nationalists, hate-type organizations through the cooperation of established local news contacts, or through such contact with sources available to the seat of government in every instance, careful attention should be given to the proposal to ensure that the targeted group or individual is disrupted, ridiculed, or discredited through the publicity not merely publicized. You are also cautioned that the nature of this new endeavor should be that under no circumstances should the existence of the program be made known outside the Bureau, and appropriate within-office security should be afforded to sensitive operations and techniques considered under the program. What is all this saying? That COINTELPRO never left the scene. Watch. For maximum effectiveness of counterintelligence and to prevent wasted effort, long-range goals must be set. 1, prevent the coalition of black militant nationalist groups. In unity, there is strength. Even the enemy knows. A truism that is no less valid for all its triteness. An effective coalition of black nationalist groups might be the first step towards a real Mau Mau in America, the beginning of a true black revolution. Prevent the rise of a messiah who could unify and electrify the militant black nationalist movement. Malcolm X might have been such a messiah. He is the martyr of the movement today. Martin Luther King, Stokely Carmichael, and Elijah Muhammad all aspire to this position. Elijah Muhammad is no less of a threat since of his age. King could be a very real contender for this position should he abandon his supposed obedience to white liberal doctrine. Of nonviolence. And embrace nationalism, which he did at the end. Stokely Carmichael was the necessary charisma to be a real threat in this way as well. And lastly, prevent black militant nationalist groups and leaders from gaining respectability by discrediting them to 3 separate segments of the community. The goal of discrediting black nationalists must be handled technically or tactically in 3 ways. You must discredit those groups and individuals too. First, the responsible Negro community. Second, they must be discredited to the white community, both the responsible community and to liberals who have vestiges of sympathy for the black nationalists simply because they are Negroes. Third, these groups must be discredited in the eyes of Negro radicals and the followers. That's where they start the dissent. That's where we start fighting one another, right? This last area requires entirely different tactics from the first 2. Publicity about violent tendencies and radical statements merely enhances black nationalists to the last group. It adds respectability in a different way. 5, a final goal should be to prevent the long-range growth of militant black organizations, especially among youth. Specific tactics to prevent these groups from converting young people must be developed. So young people are targeted. Primary targets of this counterintelligence program, and I can go through it: Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, Southern Christian Leadership Conference, Revolutionary Action Movement, Nation of Islam. Okay? Now, here's where we need to get into a serious part of how they circumvent the movement forward and upward. My girl, bad girl. Yeah, that's all right. You can give it to her. Go ahead and give it up. Sister's been on the front lines. On the front lines of the madness. I'd like to read something that our young brother, Malcolm, said. There's a lot to say here, but here's what they do right before the assassination. I sincerely appreciate the care and concern of the people over my well-being after Press TV's report of the most recent events which have transpired regarding the FBI's harassment of me. Given the storm of lies and half-truths that come with being associated with being the descendant of El-Hajj Malik El-Shabazz, known as Minister Malcolm X, any and everything that I do, great and small, good or not so good, real or imagined, is subject to controversy. However, in this missive, this boy is seriously eloquent, like his father or grandfather. However, in this missive, I will take this opportunity to properly and fully disclose what transpired. In the beginning of 2012, I had been informed that I was under investigation by the FBI's Counterintelligence Task Force unit located in Goshen, New York. The agents of this division, and in collaboration with others, have visited several times, of which I was known to them to frequent. However, they would never come when they knew me to be exactly there. They would leave their cards with the residents asking them to tell me that you called, or tell the residents around them that the FBI said for him to call. And then would tell surrounding residents to observe the house and notify them when they did see me. These are the homes of longtime friends and very close supporters. Yet, when the federal agents begin knocking on someone's door on multiple occasions to snoop and ask questions, whether one is guilty of an offense or not, it's enough to coerce people into distancing themselves from you. This cheap tactic employed by the FBI is a means of agitation and harassment. They seek to neutralize my networking capabilities. They have visited locations in California, Chicago, Miami, and most aggressively in New York. People were advising me that if I had nothing to hide, then I should just contact them as requested and cooperate. Though I must say that in these kinds of matters, I am of a particular ethic. For one, I have been engaged in no criminal activity of their concern, and they could have located me anytime they chose. Secondly, I don't recognize the authority in them beckoning me. It wasn't even until my mother informed me that they had been contacting her that I truly became agitated. She advised me to see what they had to say. And so I obliged the next time they came around looking for me. My encounter was with 2 federal agents in Goshen, New York's Counterterrorism Task Force Foci Unit. The primary agent identified himself as Agent Tom Broziski. They expressed concerns over, as they put it, my international travels. I have lived and studied in Damascus, Syria for over a year. And now, Damascus, Syria for over a year. Keep that in mind. And now in the United States is instigating conflict within the very region. I went on ex-Congresswoman, former presidential candidate Cynthia McKinney's delegation along with Dr. Randy Short to Libya, and met with leader Muammar Gaddafi 1 week prior to NATO intervention, and I was most recently getting ready to travel to Tehran, Iran, to be a participant in the International Fajr Film Festival and to give a lecture addressing the issues of Hollywood and violence. I was picked up by authorities after I filed for a visa to Iran and 2 days prior to my departure. A detective squad from the city of Middletown police department surrounded me in the street after 2 blocks from where I was residing. They asked me my name. I gave it to them. I gave them an alias, but then they were already and all too aware of who I really was anyway. I didn't tell them my real name because I didn't know what was going on. When I was brought before the city judge or the judge of Middletown court, I was surprised to be informed that I was being charged with grand larceny and false imprisonment or false impersonation. Then I was sent to jail and told to appear again in 7 days. Then following the court date, the bogus charge of grand larceny, which is only put to justify stopping me in the first place, was then dropped. And they left me to face the false impersonation. I was offered 90 days for the offense of giving the authorities the wrong name, which I declined after bailing out after 2 weeks. When I was being held within the belly of the beast on trumped-up charges, to my rescue came the journalist at Press TV based in Iran. My relationship with this progressive news outfit began in April of 2012, and prior to that, I had discussions with my journalists regarding current events internationally. I developed a positive rapport with some of them, and as a result, was invited to travel to Iran to discuss the impact of Hollywood on stereotyping Muslims, Iranians, and African people. Now, I said that, and I put that into the record because what we were watching is a pattern of harassment that essentially is given or is imploded or imposed upon people who they want to destroy. Now, if this has supposedly gone viral and we knew about this and they knew about it, why is it that this young brother was not protected? Now, here's the question that I have when the time came. As is to his assassination, the most authoritative account so far comes from Miguel Suarez, who's been described as a person who organized Mexican workers in the United States and was expelled from the United States in April. Suarez reportedly told the Associated Press that he was with Malcolm Shabazz when he was killed. Now, according to international sources, Suarez is said to be the co-founder of an organization called RUMEC, which stands for Revolutionary United Mexicans in Combat. Suarez told the Associated Press that he and Malcolm Shabazz went to a bar at Plaza Garibaldi on Wednesday, where the attack occurred hours later. Malcolm died on Thursday. According to the Associated Press, although the Plaza Garibaldi, where the two went, is popular with tourists, quote, the pair were at a bar across the street from the plaza in an area of rough dive bars tourists are warned against going to. We were dancing with the girls and drinking in the bar. Listen to that, Suarez told AP, and added that the owner of the bar wanted them to pay a $1,200 bar tab for music, drinks, and the girls' companionship. Now, does that sound like your boy? No. Our boy? Not to me. Here's the part that doesn't fit. This is me talking. Brother Shabazz had just converted to Shia or Shiite Islam. And as a new convert, one would think that he would be very conscious of the rules of the new faith. One of the tenets of Islam being, in Quran 590, intoxicants or wine and spirit, and gambling are Satan's handiwork. Avoid them. So, there are Muslims who drink and smoke and everything, but this is a young brother who is trying to follow in one of the most pristine men after he cleaned himself up. Even Farrakhan said that he would not eat but one meal a day. He did his prayers, did his bath. You could not find him chewing gum. He couldn't do anything. And this boy was associating himself with his grandfather. Do you think he would be over there getting lap dances? No. Okay, just wanted to be clear. Suarez goes on to say, we pretty much got hassled. From this point, the story gets very fishy. Suarez told the Associated Press that a short dude came with a gun and took him into a separate room. He said he heard a violent commotion in the hall and escaped from the room. He escaped from the room and the bar altogether as he saw half-naked girls running away, picking up their skirts from the floor. Malcolm Shabazz was then taken to a hospital where he died hours later of blunt force injuries, according to Suarez's report to the AP. Minutes later, Suarez came back in a cab to look for Malcolm and found him on the ground outside the bar, severely injured. Quote, he was in shock. His face was messed up. Suarez is quoted saying to the AP, he's alive. He's also quoted as saying, I grabbed him and I called the cops. Malcolm Shabazz was then taken to the hospital, and of course I'm redundant, according to the Associated Press. Now, from the Reuters we read, this is from Reuters now, that was Associated Press, here's Reuters. 2 doors down from the public or the Palace Bar, just past gay nightclub Diversity. Now, check where they put this boy. Because all the surrounding areas where he was found was to reinforce why it could have happened and how he could have been assassinated. And it could have been like somebody jumped him or he just got into a bar fight. A garage attendant named Mario Zombansi recalled how he had turned in for the night, bedded down in a tiny cubby hole where he guards patrons' keys. I woke up because there was a commotion. I could see him lying on the floor. There were lots of people crowded around him, he said. He was lying right there, he said, pointing to the curb leading to the garage. A pool of greenish-yellow car radiator fluid now marks the spot. I couldn't tell if he had been beaten up or run over by a car. He's dead, he added, clearly shot, but he was alive, there on the ground when the ambulance took him away. He was alive. Staff at the Diversity Club said the spot was closed in the early hours of Thursday when Shabazz was dumped on the sidewalk. Several people Reuters spoke to in the area said they heard a man had died after jumping out of a window when drunk. That's the story I heard, that he was so drunk that he opened the window and jumped out, said a 31-year-old Javier Angeles, who stood on the far side of the main road from the palace, waving down taxis for customers leaving the square. He described the place as a place for adults, not a family place. But there are no windows above the area where Shabazz was laying. And others had a doubt he was murdered. Had no doubt he was murdered. Here they kill you and nobody even realizes, said 48-year-old local Antonio Moncada. as he stood outside the Palace Bar on a Sunday, a Tuesday, any time of the day. So, let's ask these questions. This is the bar where he supposedly jumped out the second floor window when he was drunk. How could you die from that particular height? Let's ask these questions, because these are the questions asked by the people who are actually doing this program. How did Suarez himself survive the gunman, whom he says took him to another room? Why was he taken to another room, and what happened while he was there? How long was Suarez in the other room with the gunman, and how did he escape? How long was Suarez away before he returned for Malcolm Shabazz in a damn cab? And how far did he go away to have to need a cab? Who else witnessed the beating of Malcolm Shabazz, since presumably there were other patrons inside the bar and there were also people outside the bar? Asking this question, it's from this particular story window. This is another vintage. Was this a bar that Suarez had frequented in the past? And did he know the people who owned or operated the bar? Perhaps the most important question, Suarez says he was taken away by a gunman, and while he was in another room, he heard a commotion. Presumably, this was Malcolm Shabazz being beaten. Yet, even after he had been held at gunpoint and somehow managed to escape, instead of calling the police immediately, Suarez left and then came back in the cab to look for Malcolm. Other abnormality raised by researcher Gregory Kane. Suarez knew or should have known all dangerous spots in Mexico that tourists should avoid at all costs. Why would he take Malcolm Shabazz to a notorious hoochie bar? This guy that appeared with the gun to take Suarez to a separate room, leaving Malcolm Shabazz to the not very tender mercies of the men that would beat him to death, seems rather convenient, doesn't it? Suarez escaping also seems rather convenient, doesn't it? After his escape from a guy who pulled a gun on him, and after hearing a violent commotion in the hall, Suarez returns in a cab. Why didn't Suarez return with cops rather than a cab? Yeah. And lastly, how exactly was Malcolm Shabazz to help Suarez? How did Malcolm Shabazz know Suarez, and for how long? Who organized the trip? What was Suarez's mother said? What does she say so far? Now, this report was by African Globe. So you can look up that word, it's a internet blog, and I think it's a very good internet blog and do very good investigative reporting. African Globe. So now, this is all pre-living. I haven't even got to meet it yet. This is hors d'oeuvres. Leading you to some hopefully interesting things for you to do when you get home. Do more investigation. Infiltration. We remember this man. This man said, "We are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections, on intimidation instead of free choice, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. It is a system which has conscripted vast human and material resources into the building of a tightly knit, highly efficient machine that combines military, diplomatic, intelligence, economic, scientific, and political operations." Keep that in mind. Let's go to the Protocols of Zion and read what they have to say about infiltration. Every state, if every state has two foes, and if in regard to the external foe, now you know they have a really serious logic in this. Y'all gotta listen to the Protocols of Zion, because it's beginning to become a hell of a lot more reasonable. Whoever put this out, you could see the sick and diabolical mind, and everything is in sync with these protocols. Watch. There are two foes, has two foes if in regard to the external foe, It is allowed and not considered immoral to use every manner and art of conflict, as for example, to keep the enemy in ignorance of plans of attack and defense, to attack him by night or in superior numbers. Then in what way can be the same means in regards to a worse foe, the destroyer of a structure of society and the commonwealth, be called immoral and not permissible? Is it impossible for any sound logical mind to hope with any success to guide crowds to the aid of reasonable counsels and arguments when any objection or contradiction, senseless though it may be, can be made, and when such objection may find more favor with the people whose powers of reasoning are superficial? Men in masses and the men of the masses, being guided solely by petty passions, paltry beliefs, traditions, and sentimental theorems, fall prey to party dissensions, which hinders any kind of agreement even on the basis of a perfectly reasonable argument. I concur. Every resolution of a crowd depends upon a chance or packed majority, which, in its ignorance of political secrets, puts forth some ridiculous resolution that lays in the administration a seed of anarchy. Is that the Moors of today? We are so damn scattered. Everybody's bickering because they think they have the #1 Moorish paradigm. Everybody has a church of this, and I'm this, I have the legitimate this. And they told you that it's in power is in unity. And we try to get the heads of these different Moorish organizations together. Yeah, you can come at me and get big pissed off with me because I have listened to each and every one of your organizations. And I am putting it out here today that you all are weaker with the very knowledge that you are supposed to have gained strength by. Because you have not yet knitted it together and put aside your petty, egotistical grievances about who should lead what. It's nonsense. You want a Moorish empire to rise again? Then get your shit together. Now listen to this, what they said in the protocols. The political has nothing in common with the moral. Listen carefully. The political has nothing in common with the moral. The ruler who is governed by the moral is not a skilled politician and is therefore unstable on his throne. He who wishes to rule must have recourse both to cunning and to make-believe. We have been living in make-believe, children. Lollipop dreams and great national qualities like frankness and honesty are vices in politics. For they bring down rulers from their thrones more effectively and more certainly than the most powerful enemy. Such qualities must be the attributes of the kingdoms of the Goyim, but we must in no way wise be guided by them. Our right lies in force. The word right is an abstract thought and proved by nothing. The word means no more than give me what I want in order that thereby I may have proof that I am stronger than you. This is their mentality, family. Where does right begin? Where does it end? Well, you know what? We do know that. Moral, ethical people who understand and have empathetic energies, who want to teach their children from small to put aside certain types of energies that will destroy the collective. Not no communistic nonsense, I'm not talking about that, but raising in moral, ethical values. Now, here's where it gets good. Out of the temporary evil we are now compelled to commit will emerge the good of an unshakable rule, which will restore the regular course of the machinery of the national life, brought to naught by liberalism. The result justifies the means. Let us, however, in our plans, direct our attention not so much to what is good and moral as to what is necessary and useful. In order to elaborate satisfactory forms of actions it is necessary to have regard to the rascality, the slackness, the instability of the mob, its lack of capacity to understand and respect the conditions of its own life or its own welfare. It must be understood that the might of the mob is blind, senseless, and unreasoning force, ever at the mercy of a suggestion from any side. The blind cannot lead the blind without bringing them into the abyss. Consequently, members of the mob, upstarts from the people, even though they should be as a genius for wisdom, yet having no understanding of the political, cannot come forward as leaders of the mob without bringing the whole nation to ruin. Only one trained from childhood for independent rule can have understanding of the words that can be made up of the political alphabet. Listen carefully. Only one trained from childhood for independent rule can have understanding of the words that can be made up of the political alphabet. Only one trained from childhood for independent rule can have understanding of the words that can be made up of the political alphabet. Only one trained from childhood, listen carefully, only one trained from childhood for independent rule can have understanding of the words that can be made up of the political alphabet. Only one trained from childhood for independent rule can have understanding of the words only one trained we're not going there, sister, because this is nothing like that. Barry minus Barry, plus or minus Barry minus Barry, divided by Fn, you will find out what that equation means later on, equals Barak. Why am I doing this? Well, it'll come out. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to find out a little more about what's going on in your country underneath the surface. But I thought this particular saying would make a lot more sense because it means a lot, having been said by someone who existed back in 63, 64? Sneer not at the nigger, for today it is in him we must find our Lord, and in serving him we serve the Church of God. This was Orestes Brownson. Statement made after the New York draft riots in 1863. Sneer not at the nigger. Sneer not at the nigger. Ladies and gentlemen, who is Barack Hussein Obama? Really? Okay. In the practical art of war, the best thing of all is to take a country or enemy's country whole and intact. All warfare is based on deception. In making tactical dispositions, the highest pitch you can attain is to conceal them. In battle, there are not more than two methods of attack, the direct and the indirect. The difficulty of tactical maneuvering consists in turning the devious into the direct. Attack where he is unprepared. Appear where you are not expected. He who can modify his tactics in relation to his opponent and thereby succeed in winning may be called a heaven-born captain or president. If you know the enemy and know yourself, your victory will not stand in doubt. Barack Hussein Obama and all places, personalities, and circumstances associated with this name is an algorithm of infiltration. Constructed some 50 years ago, then implemented with tactical precision in 2005. However, schematic anomalies and sequential inconsistencies in the algorithm have exposed serious flaws in its inherent design. When you look into that name, there are no actual birth records, no actual marriage document for the parents of a Barack Obama, the second. No actual divorce decree for the parents, no actual school records, no actual family photos, no legitimate selective service application, no actual passports. This entity, Barack Hussein Obama, and all entities who surround him to protect whatever that algorithm is, hired high-priced lawyers to build legal walls around records or simply make them disappear, has spent an estimated $1.4 million blocking access to documents related to his past life. Harvard education paid for by Khalid al-Mansour, financial advisor to Prince, Saudi Prince al-Walid bin Talal. Mansour told Manhattan Borough President Percy Sutton that he was raising money for Obama's Harvard education or tuition. Selective service registration form not submitted when young as required, but rather in 2008, then altered to look older. The forgers forgot to alter the document location number, which shows that it was clearly a 2008 form. The first inauguration of Barack Obama as the 44th President of the United States took place on Tuesday, January the 20th, 2009. Just 6 days later, he wrote his first executive order. 6 days? And you're writing an executive order. Presidential Documents 4669, Federal Registry, Volume 4774, Number 15, January 2009, Title 3, the President Executive Order 13489 of January 21, 2009, President Records, by the authority vested in me as President, by the Constitution and the laws of the President of the United States of America, and in order to establish policies and procedures governing the assertion of executive privilege by incumbent and former presidents in connection with the release of presidential records. He put this in. No others, but he did. Some of what it says is, G, and I went down the list when I found it, G, a substantial question of executive privilege exists if NARA's disclosure of presidential records might impair national security, including the conduct of foreign relations, law enforcement, or the debilitative process of the executive branch. Notice of intent to disclose presidential records in Section 2, when the archivist provides notice up to an incumbent and the former presidents of his intent to disclose presidential records pursuant to Section 1270.46 of the NARA regulations, the archivist, using any guidelines provided by the incumbent. In other words, you do what I say, not the law. This is the presidential override. Okay, where he now invokes executive privilege. If the president decides to invoke executive privilege, the council of the president shall notify the former president, the archivist, and the attorney general in writing of the claim of privilege and the special presidential records to which it relates. So, I put that up there so that you could read it, see it, and see that he placed there a kind of chess move to check anything that you may want to do to find out who he is. And guess what? These white folks want to know just who the hell he is. And that's going to have some serious repercussions on us later on. And that's why I'm leading up to this. So you can know why, if you start getting shot at by somebody with Confederate flags. So as a result, you begin to wonder why it is over 150,000 of our people have disappeared, young kids. We don't get that in the news. Only when Becky disappears do we hear about it for yet 3 or 4 months. So as a result of this presidential order, Occidental College records sealed, Columbia records sealed, Columbia thesis paper sealed, Harvard College records sealed, selective service sealed, medical records sealed, Illinois State Senate schedule sealed, Illinois State Senate record sealed, law practice client list sealed, certified copy of original birth certificate sealed, signed embossed certification of live birth sealed. Barack Hussein Obama has multiple identities possessing numerous social security numbers. Orly Tates, an attorney who has filed numerous suits against Obama on his eligibility, was the first to discover this, representing a number of military officers who refused to serve under an ineligible commander-in-chief. She hired private investigator Neil Sankey to conduct research on Obama's prior addresses and social security number using Intellius, LexisNexis, Choice Point, and other public records. Sankey found some 25 social security numbers connected to Obama's name. Now, I asked the question, if these knuckle-dragging cave maggots can find all this shit out, why in hell's toilet they can't find out that you built the fucking pyramids? Why in hell they keep digging to find themselves, and as I said in Hidden Colors, they keep digging, and the deeper they dig, the blacker the planet gets. But they have micromanaged, they have gotten their telescopes and microscopes and went up the orifices, everybody, to look for evidence of just who this black man is. And they are coming out with all kinds of things, as you will see. Deep. They can find what they want to find. But they can't find you anywhere on the cave walls, on the pyramid walls. They know you ain't on the cave walls, but they look for you and they say, no, that can't be them on the pyramid walls. Pardon my French. In his home state of Illinois, Sankey tracked down 16 different addresses for Barack Obama, or Barack H. Obama, all of which were addresses he was known to have lived at. 2 social security numbers appeared for these addresses, one beginning with 042 and the other starting 364. In California, where Obama attended Occidental College, there are 6 addresses listed for him, all within easy driving distance of the college. However, there are 3 social security numbers connected to these addresses, 537 and 2 others starting with 999. There is no such thing. There is no such thing. And you know, those of you who are Moors and dealing with the so-called sovereign community, that whenever you want to just put a computer identification number down, you just put down 99999. That's when you don't want to know them to know who you are, or you want to maintain anonymity. All told, there are 49 addresses and 16 different social security numbers listed for a person whose name is spelled Barack Obama. In some cases, the middle initial H is listed. The one social security number Obama most frequently used, beginning with the number 042, was the number issued in Connecticut sometime during 1976 and 1977. Yet there is no record of Obama ever living or working in Connecticut. In fact, during this time period, Obama is 15 to 16 years old and supposedly living in Hawaii at the time. There are nearly a dozen aliases, at least 2 different social security numbers, and upward of over 99 separate addresses for a Ann Durham, his mother. His grandmother, Madeline Dunham, was a volunteer at the Oahu Circuit Court Probate Department and had access to the social security numbers of dead people. Ooh. And you can write a story around this and make a movie. It gets deeper. This, when people were asking, they called people who wanted his birth certificate birthers, the birthers. So they said, give us your birth certificate. So Obama said, and his boy said, here is my birth certificate. Now, get over it. But you know these devils ain't gonna say that. They say, okay, well, you gave us something. Let's see what you got. Let me take a look at what you gave us. That's it. Now, bogus. There is no authoritative or authentic paper record for the Barack Hussein Obama II on a birth certificate in Hawaii or any other state. There is no authentic record, paper or otherwise, of a name exchange for a Bari M. Shabazz or any interim identity to Barack Hussein Obama II. There is no Stanley Ann Durham. There was no Barack Hussein Obama II born to Stanley Ann or a Barack Obama Sr. There is no official seal. Here we have, now I want you to take a look at it. This is the certificate of live birth. Check it out. Now I'm going to do something. Check the name. This is the evidence of the name of the signatory. This was supposedly signed by his mother. And the, I guess, ethnicity and the university where the mother was going and the ethnicity of the father. And I said, pay close attention to the writing 8761. Now, why am I doing that? Why am I asking you to pay attention to these little details on what they released? Okay? First of all, if you look at the lettering, there is a white haloing around the letters, which means it's a bogus document. It means it was put together. Look at the continuity of the lines. There's no continuity in the line, which means the breaking point that someone was actually splicing the lines together and didn't do a very good job. The noise, what they call inconsistencies of continuity in the line pattern below the numbers to the right, that document on the right has what is known as digital consistency. There is no haloing or line inconsistency in it. Wait a minute, who is that? Aris! Hold the presses. Y'all gotta get to know this brother. This was the man who introduced raw foods to New York and everywhere else on the planet. The raw food man, Sunfire.
Don't forget, on the 15th of September, he'll be in Nicholas King Simon Productions.
Oh, look at this boy. I'm telling you, it's something else. Gotta get it in there. Had to do that. This is old school. This is like every, you know, definitely. No haloing in the line. You see there is consistency. Whatever it is that that document was created to do and for, you will see that document itself is real. That document, which is alleged to be Obama's certificate, is not. The certificate of live birth is not an official birth certificate mandated by or as federal law code. No green pattern background existed in 1961 or prior to the modern computer word processing programs of the 1990s. These green pattern backgrounds are the legal federal industry code for a certificate of live birth, never for an official birth certificate, which are usually black and white. but green or blue watermarks such as the state seal. The hospital where Obama was said to be born is identified as being located on the wrong Hawaiian island. Evidence of an editing mistake by the forgers. Obama's parents' homes remains located in the middle of a Hawaiian highway. Google it. Google the address of Obama's home, his parents' home, and you'll end up in the middle of the highway. Adobe Illustrator back-engineered archives and box editing on document presented officially by the White House as legitimate record of live birth for Obama or Barack Hussein Obama. Forensic mystery marks on Nordyke twins' birth certificate show up exactly on Obama's birth certificate. In other words, there was a set of twins born on the exact time frame. I'm just giving you this pieces right here. Researchers also discovered that a baby girl, Virginia Sanahara, was born on the same day as Obama and is claimed to have been born, that he was claimed to have been born. However, she died one day after her birth. Aware of the controversy about Obama's birth and the coincident date of his sister's birth, when Virginia's brother Duncan requested a copy of Virginia's birth certificate, he was met with news that shook him. It had been reported in 2010 that DOH, Department of Health Director Loretta Fuddy, claimed that no records existed for Virginia Sanahara. Where had her birth record gone? Was her place in Hawaiian birth history commandeered to make room for Obama II? Now, I am parroting off of the research of, again, these Europeans and putting in my own commentary. And we are going to get a little bit more. These are the two birth certificates that they are now putting in question. The one for Susan and the one for Gretchen. Now, there are certain marks. The reason why I asked you to look at that, remember I showed you this one? Yeah. If you look at the forensics of the writing, it's the same. This is Obama's, but here's what I want you to look at. This is the file number, and all file numbers are supposed to be in sequence. Now, if you look at the date of Obama's birth, date of birth, August 4th, 1961. File number 151611061. Date of birth of the girls, August 5th, 1961. File number 151611067.
Yeah.
They were born after him, but had a lower number. The spook who got in the door. Oh, it gets better. This is me showing you so that those who are home, you home, can do your own forensics. There's the date of birth. There's the sequence. August 4th, August 5th. There it is. Check it out. Out of sequence. Now, I want you to look at this. The pencil marks that I showed you, to look at this part, there's these pencil marks that are here. This number is 999. These are all official statistics. Those people who did the putting down the statistics of birth records, they put down 9 and 9. So in 1961, the Vital Statistics Instructions Manual for Birth Race was quoted by the following numerical system. Number 1 is white, 2 is Negro, Indian, Alouettes and Eskimos, Chinese, Japanese, Hawaiian, number 6, other than white, number 7, 8, no classification, and 9 is...
Oh no. Oh no.
The term African as a race or nationality identifier was not used in Hawaiian birth records until after 1989. What's it doing up there? It was not used until 1989. This is 1961. Now I'm showing you the same thing here. Here's the old certificate here. And look at the numbers and how it's written. Look at the number 61. It's the same. So it's obvious that the same person who did that, they stole it from whoever this was, whoever actually this whole birth certificate really belonged to. But I want you to look at this. Stanley and Durham, they stuck the Stanley in there. And Durham, Obama, Stanley and Durham, Obama, and look at the signature of the attendant and tell me that the same person who wrote, I just figured that one out. Look at the M. It's the same. Look at the D. It's the same. I guess, you know, he tried to make it a little bit more, but the forensics and the movement, the attitude is the same. But I want you to take a look at the guy who is the state registrar. What's his name? Alvin. Yeah. But wait, do you notice something about his name? What do you see there? Here's where they're telling you, excuse the expression, fuck off. Watch. Look at his A. There's a little smiley face. Now they released this record to the people and said, here is his birth certificate, go home, leave me alone. The president is the president. But wait, it gets better. Where did they say he was born? Hawaii. What is the instrument that they usually play? Ukulele. Oh, really? Well, let's look at the name of the... Nice. Now, when I started looking into this, now, but see, it gets even better because, see, when you don't care anymore because you've been conquered and your ass already owns everything, you say to hell with it. So who is he? Does he look like him? No.
One African, one spoon. One got his door.
Some people say, and they've been for real with it, that he was the son of a communist pornographer and adult book writing man named Frank Marshall Davis. And he looks pretty good like him, doesn't he? He got his features and faces, look like him too a little bit. You know, he could go, I mean, hey, maybe, you know, what the hell? I mean, let's try him again. Let's try this again. Looks like him there, doesn't it? Oh, it could be Jay-Z, you're right. It could even be Jay-Z. Could even be Jay-Z. His pops. Then let's try something else though. They got real deep with this one. The middle child is a son of Frank Marshall Davis by a mother. Somewhere could be, you know what I'm saying? But I don't know. No, maybe there's one more, just maybe one more. I think that Barack, yeah, maybe, you know, I think the nose knows the truth though. Check the nose. It occurred to me that all these old pictures of Barack Obama, he looked a little bit different than he does now. Now I'm wondering, some told me that maybe brother got clipped. I was waiting to see if he would moonwalk, and then, you know, there may be a connection after that, but then, whoa! Yeah, so I'm wondering now if he wanted to be more Caucasian so that he could appeal to his voters. Because he always knew he could get the black vote. Okay, so nah, he looks like somebody else. That face has a whole other look. But then, of course, Mama got it too. Say it ain't so. Fine, sister. Fine, sister. Then what? But I'm saying, you know, when you're married, you want to do it with, you know, as far as your husband and your wife, you want to kind of do it right together, and A, B, and a third. Mama got it clipped too. Mama got it clipped. But then we got to go real and find out what this deal really is, because I'm going to tell you the truth, brothers and sisters. The only person that this could possibly have been the father of is my man, Hajj Malik El-Shabazz. Now, the reason why I'm saying that is because back about before his first presidency ended, I did something called Obama and the New Old Order. Now, when I did that, I did it because my queen, Dr. Nalani, when we were looking, because everybody was looking at the address at that time, I said, well, turn it on. Let me take a look at this guy who is going to be the president now. And she came out in the red and black, which was the color of anarchy. Most people didn't know. They said, well, does she look like the Black Widow? No, it was the color of anarchy they came out in. And I wanted to see what this brother was going to say. And it was beautiful because he came out, brothers, clean, walked out, had everybody going. And he had swag. The brother was, well, no, he wasn't swag. Yeah, he did. That's true, he is. He does have swag. Yeah, he does have swag, you're right. You're right. Secretly, we are gay. That's right. He does have swag. No. We're going to find that out, too, somewhere down the line. But understand why I chose him, because we were looking at the television at the time, and we were doing things while we were listening to him, and she walked by, stopped, looked at television, she said, wow, he reminds me of Malcolm. And she just walked out the room, and I said, doing. Whoa. And I stopped and I looked at the brother. I said, no. So there I was. I'm looking at that and I'm saying, no. Then all of a sudden I said, could it be? Yes, it could be. So I started putting down all the things that could possibly have been related to that. I had no idea there were other people who were doing the same thing. I was part of the 100-monkey phenomenon. It just hit me. So I began looking. Barack Hussein Obama's real name is Barry Malik Shabazz. That's why he ain't releasing any birth certificate. Born October 28th, 1959 in New York City, issued Social Security number 084545926 in New York City in 1974. Again, regarding records of his true identity, we find no actual birth record, no actual marriage document for the parents of a Barack Obama II, no actual divorce decree for parents, no actual school records, no actual family photos except photo ops. Photo ops. Difference. No legal selective service application, no actual passport. Bari means of Allah. In Islam, Allah, as the principle of Al-Bari, means the evolver, he who creates all things in proportions. Al-Bari also means the maker, the producer, the maker from nothing, the one. Malik or Malachi means Lord, Master, Sovereign King. Malik is Arabic for Malachi, meaning messenger of God. In 1952, Malcolm asked the Honorable Elijah Muhammad to assume the name Malachi Shabazz, but he was denied. The name Malcolm in Scots Gaelic means devotee to St. Columba. Interesting that Barack allegedly went to Columbia University, although no one in his class ever saw him there. In spring of '64, after he left the Nation of Islam and made his pilgrimage to Mecca, Brother Malcolm took the name El Hajj Malik al-Shabazz. The name Omawali Yoruba, meaning the son who has come home, was bestowed on him by students after a speech he gave at the University of Ibadan. Shabazz, in Iranian, is from the Persian Shahbaz, meaning royal falcon. The word generally means royal, generous, noble. So, one of our heroes was Heru, or carried the name of Heru. Now, the Muhammad Speaks newspaper dated April 1962 had a front page caption that read, more than 12,000 people on February 23rd gathered in Chicago's International Amphitheater to hear Messenger Elijah Muhammad speak on the future of the American so-called Negroes. Inside the newspaper, on page 18, Ann and what looks like baby Barack are placed just below to the left of a photo of Malcolm X with the caption, "The young listen." Wow. Now, you know I like to do forensics.
Oh, snap.
Y'all want me to stop? No. Oh, okay, because it's going to get better. I thought that getting you into metaphysics and dealing with all kinds of super this and that, y'all heard all of that already, didn't you? Yeah, Dr. Valentine with that metaphysical. I thought y'all might want to know what's getting ready to happen tomorrow when they find out what you're finding out. The ramifications for black folks and what kind of trust America as whole with white folks is going to have in electing another one of us. Yeah, but they ain't gonna look it. Just to give you an idea, look at that head. That water head is just... Well, he cute though, ain't he? Look at him. All the girls say, oh, he's so cute. But here's the deal. From Bari's conception, then birth in October of 1959, till shortly before Malcolm's death in 1965, Malcolm lived just one street over from his son's first address in East Elmer, New York. The first address listed for Bari M. Shabazz is 3226 98th Street, Apartment 1, Elmhurst, New York. Malcolm's 1959 address was 2546 99th Street, East Elmhurst, New York. Malcolm and his family later resided at 2311 97th Street, East Elmhurst, from July 1960 through February 18, 1965, 3 days before his tragic death. That's the house, and what you're looking at is right after the bombing. You see all the stuff that they had, the fire, and the couch, some carpet, and so forth. So who is Barack Obama, really? Well, let's find out where he went, because if we don't know who he is, there has to be some kind of trail of where he has been. Where has he been? Well, you come to find out that Malcolm was brilliant strategist. He knew that if anybody found out that he had a son, remember he had all girls. He had all girls. Here he has a son. And you know the son is the one that, sorry ladies, when the guy has a son, it's like he's looking at himself. He loves little daddy's little girl, but when he's got that son, he can now trace back himself. He looks at himself growing up. When I have my sons, I look at them and all the stuff they did, it's like looking at yourself. And then you guide him based on the love that you have for him and him reminding you so much of yourself. Well, Malcolm knew that this boy would be in danger, just like you now see his grandson was. So he had to do something. Well, it came to find out that Malcolm had gone over to trips in Indonesia. He's traveled all over. World leaders loved Malcolm. But he had a special friend in Sukarno, the new Indonesian president who kicked the Dutch out of Indonesia. He was a fighter. And immediately, Malcolm and he established a wonderful friendship together. And he said to him, things are getting hot over here. I'm in danger. I know I'm going to die. I cannot have my son in Paris. Would you take care of him? So the word is, and you have to understand now, I'm giving you information from a person called Martha Throwbridge. Now, that name sounds like intelligence to me. Martha Throwbridge gives you the idea that she's just a little old white lady that sits on a porch knitting, but comes up with some of the most sophisticated intelligence that you would ever want to mine. Definitely somebody who has been putting out information, and most likely Martha Throwbridge could be a whole network of researchers who have been trying to find out who he is. So Martha Throwbridge is the one who came up with a hell of a lot of information. And it happened like this. After I did Obama and the New Old Order, I let it go. But guess what? It went viral and everybody was saying, oh man, this is crazy. Did you see the forensics? I didn't know that white people took it and started looking at it. Because white people are looking, just another nigga, he's talking a lot of nonsense, he ain't saying nothing. But as soon as I started doing that, and I showed the eyes of his daughters, if you look at Atala and his young daughter, they look so much alike, white people started saying, yeah, and they took that piece and they put it on theirs. And then I got a call from a white boy who has a blog talk show. Very respectful. He said, I would like to do a blog talk with you. We did a blog talk show, but I was very, very nebulous. I didn't say crap to him. I said, oh yeah, he did this, and I got it from there. I didn't want to talk to him. But I wanted to make sure that he knew that you could do the type of forensics that you think you could do, I could do it too. And I gave him just enough. But then he said, do you know that your research has been substantiated by somebody named Martha Throwbridge? And he said, do you know her? I said, no, I don't know no Martha Throwbridge. So I was talking to him in a very nebulous way. I didn't want to let him know that you know more than you should know. So I gave him enough, and I kind of cut the interview kind of short. He was very nice, very respectful, so I was very respectful in return. But I did not give him all that I knew or could know, and I began following up on the lead he gave me about this Martha Throwbridge, and she came up with some serious information. So part of it being that this brother Sukarno, President Sukarno, and Brother Malcolm, who shared a podium together, these brothers were good friends. He sent Barack over to Indonesia, and I kind of pieced it together to show you that he was part of the royal family, though his picture is not there, because it wouldn't be there. It wouldn't put his picture there for the danger of his life. But just imagine that in that royal setting, he was taught all of the amenities, the ethics and the high culture and all of the ways of leadership and how to speak, all of that there. In August of 1994, at the age of 34, Barry M. Shabazz was reported to have died. From the Social Security Death Index database, Shabazz B.M., 28 October 1959 to August 1994. Look at the coding, V34PE, meaning non-specified. New York, that being his Social Security number. Now, it just so happens that on August 21st, 1994, the Illinois State Senate seat officially opened up. Mel Reynolds, the outgoing occupant who was just recently indicted, was ready to surrender his seat to one Alice Palmer, for whom Barack Obama was working at the time. With Palmer about to assume a public office, Barry M. Shabazz couldn't afford to leave a paper trail pointing to his real identity. The Social Security Death Index record states that the death information for Barry M. Shabazz was coded V. V signifies verified, report verified by, with a family member or someone acting on behalf of a family member. Anybody can report to the Social Security. The report is not coded P, signifies proof, a death certificate observed. This distinction is critical. Notice of death was made by an informant who did not present verification is reporting. That is, no death certificate was presented with the notification of death. SSA receives report of death from a variety of sources, including friends and relatives of deceased individuals, funeral homes, postal authorities, financial institutions, and federal and state agencies. Friends, relatives, and funeral home reports about 90% of deaths. Postal authorities and financial institutions report another 5% of death. Once in the federal system, Barry Shabazz's record was flagged PE, meaning an inconsistency exists between what was reported and what was recorded in the government's files. Now, I want you guys to get to know this man. Jewish guy. Mastermind. Last name Newman. Very inconspicuous and pretty much just another guy you see on the street. Probably you just want to put a couple of coins in his cup. But this man is a doctor of philosophy from Stanford University. A Marxist, Leninist, communist, founder, pioneer of the U.S. independent political movement, political tactician and power broker, founder of social therapy clinics nationwide, founder of the International Workers' Party, which had an office right across the street and about 2 flights up. I think of Queen and I had to go up there one day, and they tried to invite us into it to become part of it. That was a long time ago. Yes, right across the street, second or third floor. Founder of the New Alliance Party, author, playwright of a play about Malcolm X, entitled Billy and Malcolm, a demonstration produced at his New York City theater in 1993, and Barack Obama's uncle. What? Say what? Fred Newman was the grandmaster of infiltration politics. From his work, Psychopolitics, What Kind of Party Is This Anyway? Newman states he and his followers intend to enter the National Caucus of Labor Committees to change it from the inside. And change it he did. It was Newman's Independence Party fronted by Leona Fulani, remember her? Pretty sister. AKA Leonora Branch. That was the deciding factor that made Michael Bloomberg mayor of your New York City. For this, his various organizations received very generous funding, both private and public, his IDP or Independence Party, bolstered and literally ran Ross Perot's Reform Party, as well as supported Pat Buchanan's old guard republicanism when he ran for the Reform Party. Look at Pat Buchanan with a black person in the same picture. Look at your boy, she's there. Look at this. And oh, it gets better. Prior to 2008, by the time Barack Obama announced his presidential bid, Newman had already coordinated and managed 3 presidential candidates for black candidates with strategic political genius and the likely biological link between he and Project Vote founder Sandy Newman. In the mid-'80s, Sandy Newman hired Obama to organize Chicago. Ooh. The dots are getting closer and closer together. This is I'm giving you New York politics. There they are. It was Fred Newman. This man was the genius behind these 2 people being put on the presidential ballot. In fact, it was Lenora Fulani. She was the first black woman to be put on the presidential ballot on every state, in every state of the Union, because of this man. What I'm saying is, and this is what I'm talking about in here, is that Lenora Fulani, and you remember when she ran for the presidency, and you remember when my boy Al ran for presidency. Well, this was the brain behind it all. And when you look at everybody that he has influenced, why is it so far-fetched to think? How is it that Barack Obama, as a freshman senator, got to open the address for the Democratic National Convention? Freshman. Remember when he put her in, Sotomayor? Well, she was an affiliate of Newman. Everybody now has now been connected to this one man. Who was he? This man was one of the most shrewdest infiltrators of the United States. Now you have to understand that the Jews do not like white people. Oh, I know it says, okay. I know I've now stepped into it. He said, well, they damn sure white looking. Well, let me tell you. I have a little book out called The Wounded Womb. Yeah. You might have heard of it. Thank you. This is what a man said, a Jew, who read this. I read this. Greetings, my children. You have all been called here to recapitulate the principal steps of our new program. As you know, we had hoped to have 20 years between wars to consolidate the great gains which we made in World War II. But our increasing numbers in certain vital areas is arousing opposition to us, and we must now work with every means at our disposal to precipitate World War III within 3 years. The goals for which we have striven concertedly for 3,000 years is within our reach, and because its fulfillment is so apparent, it behooves us to increase our efforts and our portion tenfold. I can safely promise you that before 10 years have passed, our race will take its rightful place in the world, with every Jew a king and every Gentile a slave. Our most pressing problem is to inflame the lagging militaristic spirit of the Americans. Within 5 years, this program will achieve its objective. The Third World War, which will surpass all destruction, all previous contests, Israel, of course, will remain neutral. And when both sides are devastated and exhausted, we will arbitrate, sending our control commissioners into the wrecked countries. This war will end for all time our struggle against the Gentile. We will openly reveal our identity with the races of Asia and Africa. I can state with assurance that the last generation of white children are now being born. Did you hear what I said? Our Control Commission will, in the interest of peace and wiping out interracial tensions, forbid whites to mate with whites. The white woman must cohabit with the dark races, the white men with black women. Thus the white race will disappear. For mixing the dark with the white means the end of the white man, and our most dangerous enemy will only be a memory. We shall embark upon an era of 10,000 years of peace and plenty. The Pax Judaica and our race will rule undisputed over the world. Our superior intelligence will easily enable us to retain mastery over the world of dark people. Our interests in Washington are greatly extended. The 4-point program for developing industry in backward areas of the world, so that after the industrial plants and cities of Europe and America are destroyed by atomic warfare, the whites can offer no resistance against the large masses of the dark races, who will maintain an unchallenged technological superiority.
What page?
It's on the page 105 and 106 from the game, Poems in the Game. And let me read this to you. A man by the name of Israel Coleman, author of A Racial Program for the 20th Century, says, and I quote, "We must realize that our party's most powerful weapon is racial tension. By pounding into the consciousness of the dark races that for centuries they have been oppressed by the whites, we can mold them to our program of the Communist Party." Now remember, Dr. John Henry Clark himself said he was coerced into that. Cohen continues, "The words colonialism and imperialism must be featured in our propaganda. In America, we will aim for subtle victory. While inflaming the Negro against the whites, we will endeavor to instill into the whites a guilt complex for their exploitation of the Negroes. We will aid the Negroes to rise in prominence in every walk of life, in professionals and the world of sports and entertainment." This was written in 1912. See, I knew you wouldn't want to hear nothing about no metaphysics. But this is metaphysics. So I said at the bottom, is the enemy of my enemy my friend? Or is the friend of my enemy my friend? Or is the enemy of my enemy my enemy? Wounded Wound, if you want a copy, come up here last time and put your name down and you'll have a discount for it. So, now we know that a Jew by the name of Newman has been manipulating situations politically. He literally commandeered the Democratic Party without party operatives even noticing he did it. even getting a freshman congressman from Chicago to be the keynote speaker of the 2004 Democratic National Convention. Then, after decades of practice, honing his skills at political infiltration, the fourth time was the charm. Through his ultimate triumph, Fred Newman managed to pull off perhaps the greatest election coup in American political history. Uncle Fred, as he was known to some, literally groomed, refined, brokered, manipulated, empowered, cajoled, and convinced an entire country and the world to vote for and unilaterally support the spook who got in the damn door. Y'all want me to keep going?
Yes.
But the dude do look good there, though, you know? I could see a couple of more brothers up in that spot. But then he ain't did shit for dark folks. And I think that has been a result of the fact that his mentor uncle died in 2011. Now you'll notice that he's not ashore anymore. But then you got it here. Look at this. Look at the guys on the right. Look at that. Look at Al back there. Y'all got to think about this when these devils find out what has happened to them. But it's all right. See, they don't know that. These people don't know. They just think that a nigger snuck into their private, very sacred space. The one who protects them and their constitution and their white privilege. So I like the fact that Obama said, and if you notice, in all of his pictures, he's just saying, fuck y'all. Constantly. Throwbridge summarizes her thesis this way: Barack Obama sprang from a family-run political activist network which, since the 1960s, has been diligently organizing to achieve a socialist vision of America. This network was spearheaded by Fred Newman, the primary purpose of which was to organize the overthrow of America's socio-political economic system. That is, to shift the American model from one of racist democracy and capitalism to Marxist socialism, which is a whole other form of oppression. Because any form of government that is headed off by people who essentially believe themselves to be leaders and be better than you, essentially that's it. But then I thought I'd have some fun with some brothers that I respect, so I figured I wanted to show this up. Here we go. Now, even Minister Farrakhan was introduced to Newman and knew of Newman and knew of Fulani. And from what I understand, I remember him saying, these people were weird. He was sitting between them. He said they were crazy. They were weird. But then it occurred to me that he wrote books with them. Independent Black Leadership in America by Minister Louis Farrakhan, Dr. Lenora Fulani, and Reverend Al Sharpton. They wrote a book together. Do these people really know who Barack Obama is? And they keeping it on the down low. If that's the case, then prevent the rise of a messiah who would unify and electrify. Malcolm X might have been such a messiah. Remember we said this? Yes. COINTELPRO, check. COINTELPRO, check. Check. All right, class. Then if that's the case, why would you then say, quote, Barack has captured the youth. He has involved young people in the political process that they didn't care anything about. That is a sign. When the Messiah speaks, the youth will hear. And the Messiah has actually spoken, absolutely spoken. Why would you call him that, knowing that that would immediately, as a political figure of magnitude, put COINTELPRO on him? Could it be that because of the fact, oh, of course he came back, Obama's not the Messiah. He's the first president that sanctioned what the scriptures forbid, of course, getting into that gay and marriage and that. He said, I warn you, my brother, don't you let these wicked demons move you in a direction that will absolutely ruin your future with your people in Africa and throughout the world. Why don't you organize a group of respected Americans and ask for a meeting with Gaddafi? You can't order him to step down and get out. Who the hell do you think you are? From Messiah to who the hell do you think you are? Now it's very interesting because remember Gaddafi had said to Minister Farrakhan, the entire resources of Libya are at the nation of Islam's disposal. Right. So if they get rid of Gaddafi, and Gaddafi had a serious program. I mean, his country ran smoothly. Everybody in his country got part of the oil receipts. When you were married, you received $50,000 and they built you a home. All free, all education was free, up and through PhD. Everything was running smoothly. He even built the biggest water aquifer leading to his country that fed other countries. Why would you want to tear that down? He was then named an honorary leader for the African Union because he was about to disperse all of the resources and put that at the command of unifying Africa. Yes. Yep. Now, why would Obama want to kill something like that? Because it represented every damn thing that his mentor was trying to manifest in the presidency. Something ain't kosher. Why did he say that? Why did he call him the Messiah and then say he's not the Messiah? Because he talked about homosexuality and this and gave these leeways. Well, these excerpts are from the documentary by Brother Omar Shabazz entitled Naked Lies, The Continuous War Against Malcolm X. Now, I know all you brothers who are in the nation and all the brothers who are in the nationalist movement are going to hate what I'm saying, but I'm only saying what's already been reported. I give you all big ups for all of what you do, but guess what? There are certain things that our people are being affected by based upon your decisions, collectively. Now, there are things going on behind the scenes, and is it a family affair? It's a family affair. Remember? In it, he shows Minister Farrakhan praising Malcolm's killer. Malcolm was your traitor. Was Malcolm your traitor or ours? If we dealt with him like a nation deals with a traitor, what the hell business is of yours? Now, you know Minister Farrakhan's a West Indian like me, so he can have some serious temper. A nation has to be able to deal with traitors and cutthroats and turncoats. In 1994, Betty Shabazz was asked whether Farrakhan, quote, had anything to do with Malcolm's death. Without thinking twice, she said, of course, yes. Nobody kept it a secret. It was a badge of honor. Everybody talked about it. Yes, this was Mother Betty. In 60 Minutes, Atala Shabazz, Farrakhan, finally admitted to playing a role in his assassination and apologized for his, quote, complicity. I may have been complicit in words that I spoke leading up to February 21st. I acknowledge that and regret that any word that I have said caused the loss of the life of a human being. He apologized. And Atala came back and said, yes, it is true that a black man pulled the trigger. We cannot deny any responsibility in this. This is what Minister Farrakhan continued by saying. Where we are responsible, where our hands are part of this, we beg God's mercy and forgiveness. He says, I genuinely hope that perhaps a healing can come to Ms. Shabazz and her family. Well, Atala is a strong sister. She said, no, I ain't going for it. She said, yeah, but a black man shot him. And we can't blame anybody, FBI, none of that. Black man shot him. And from people from the nation. But again, Throwbridge summarizes the theory this way. Barack Obama sprang from a family-run political activist network, which, since the 1960s, has been diligently organizing to achieve a socialist vision. Now, it occurred to me as I'm looking at pictures, because I'm a guy who likes to look at pictures and see similarities and things. So when I was looking at certain pictures, it was such an interesting thing when I began to look at the head structure of my brother, who just so happens to have the same name. Hi, boo. Malik Shabazz. Barry Malik Shabazz. Same place. Talking at the same time. And it was so interesting because there they are. And if you look at the head shapes, but I did something else. I decided to kind of show that the top part of the head forensically, and I'm only having some fun here because I did the same thing with Malcolm, but I had some fun. I just moved the glasses over here. Yes, no? Like a baby version, right? Handsome brother, cute little kid, look the same. Relatives? Could be. That would mean that brother is royalty. Sprang from a family-run political activist business, diligently organizing. There they are. Here and here. I want you to get to know this woman, Joan B. Newman, who changed her name to Joanne B. Newman, my daughter and my granddaughter. Hi. And I don't want to introduce her because she's very shy. It's my son's queen, Ashley. Anyway, it's family. I want you to take a look at Fred, and then take a look at this Newman here that they say may very well be. And then take a look at the person they say is Ann Durham. And take a look at her. Now, here's some more forensics. These are all the pictures of who they say Stanley Ann Durham is. Check. All these just seem to be photo ops to me. I want you to take a look at the hairline and see that it ain't real.
Yeah. Nope.
They keep adding, it seems they keep adding hair to her. If you look very closely, you see the hairline ends here, and this is added on. Not even a weave, it's photoshopped in or something. All pictures of Barack Hussein Obama's mother have some kind of fitted, organized, what would be the word? Reprint or re-something, retouching. Alterations. You look at there around again, and then look at that chin. They seem to add a chin on her as well. Now, you can see that they added this, because this don't even look real. Look at it. They added this and they added this. This is the stuff that Throwbridge is kicking out. But then look, this here, when they took and made a digital print of this picture, they found out that this, the digital showed that this was added. This shadow was added. See? Busted to show that, because they don't want to show Stanley as having short hair. Now, why wouldn't they want to show Stanley as having short hair? No, Stanley's not a man. Well, y'all something else, boy, I tell you. I just love this audience. Y'all can do Vegas real easy, boy, I tell you. Reason why I'm saying that is because somebody has been trying to cover their tracks. And they keep messing with her form. And notice that they added a tooth. This all the teeth are white except this pink one here. Somebody laughed. And check the nose. They added this part right here. See that little piece right there hanging off there? That was added. Yeah, right there. You can see it here. If you can use your eyes, you can see this little piece was added right here. So they've been messing with her. Now here's the other part. They show you that Ann Dunham, or Barry's mother, died. So Ann Dunham moved back to Hawaii to live near her widowed mother and died in 1995, November 27, 22 days after, this is her mother. Following the memorial service at the University of Hawaii, Obama and his sister spread their mother's ashes in the Pacific Ocean at Lanai Lookout in the south side of Oahu. Obama scattered the ashes of his grandmother, Madeline Dunham, in the same spot on December 23, 2008, weeks after his election to the presidency. Now, pay very close attention to what's to come. Listen carefully.
I was sitting in the first row when Malcolm came out. The stand had been turned over to him by the introductory speaker.
Look at her.
He raised his hand in the Muslim greeting, Salam Alaikum, like this, his right hand.
Who is that?
At that point, rumbling broke out behind us, and everybody in the place naturally turned around to look. You understand that the situation was tense because of the bombing of Malcolm's house and so forth. And everybody jumped up to look, and of course, I remember a chair had been knocked over back there.
Who's this?
And I saw two guys like looking at the floor.
He's talking to her in her ear constantly.
My next impression was I turned around to look at Malcolm, and I remember him saying, "Stay calm, stay cool." And I remember hearing over my right shoulder the gunfire. And then Malcolm's hand was up like that.
Look,
Still in the
look
greeting,
closely.
and still exhorting everybody to stay calm, when he fell backwards in a dead faint. He just slumped.
Okay. Did you all get that? Okay. Who was that young girl whose face was completely devastated? And how is it that this one little white girl was over the shoulder being shielded? Who is she? Well, let's find out, because they found out. And if you don't know what they know, you will be surprised by what could happen over the next 5, 10 years, and why there will be, or maybe, and I'm not calling this a civil war breaking out, or a quiet war, quiet weapons being used for a silent war against us. Who is she? And what is she to you? Take a look at this woman very closely. And then I want you to take a look at this picture very closely. Look very closely. Notice the hairline and the ear. Look at it. Look very closely. Look very closely at the hairline. Because, you know, I like to look at stuff like that. This thing's gonna kill me. Look at the hairline. Look at the widow's peak. Now, you know, when my mother was alive, she had different types of hairstyles. But when she put one style again, it was the same style. You know, women have a kind of thing where it's, oh, this looks cute. I'm going back there because I look cute. So they keep a pattern. They like to visit what's cute and revisit it. So here in 1960, 3, 4, is a woman who just can't seem to not do her thing where she knows she's look cute. Here she is again. Cute, widow's peak. And here she is again. Look at here. Come on, don't. It's about, you know, easing into it. You don't jam it in. Right, ladies? See, you ain't going home tonight with nobody. You want to look at this very carefully because essentially there she is again. All right? Now, the widow's peak is a dead giveaway. Here she is again, back at the same picture, but who is it? The same person? No, I don't think so. Why? It looks the same somewhere because of the eye lobe right here. But then Stanley Ann Durham, is that her? Stanley Ann Durham? No. Because why? Yeah, you're right. She could have got a nose job. Yeah, but look. The ears are a dead giveaway. Huh. Take a look at those eyes. Take a look at the nostril. And you got to remember, this is a woman in her 70s and 80s. This is Fred Newman's sister. Here she is again. And who's she with? Her son. The woman that they said died and scattered the ashes. Why? Because they wanted to get rid of them snooping to find out who she was and who Obama really is. But word has come that they said she died of cervical cancer. She now may have cervical cancer. And so he says, fuck y'all, I'm gonna be with my mama. I'm gonna be with mama. And she's gonna be with me, and perhaps she's going through some very heavy things where she's gonna die. And he can't keep her hidden for long, and he's in his second term, so fuck y'all. I'm gonna be with my mama. So you see him there with her. Nobody was able to explain who this woman was in the press box with the president. You know there would always be some kind of word, always, she won the lottery or something. No. She just was quietly sitting watching the Syracuse game with her son. Period. There he is again. And he said, to hell with all of y'all. And, where are you? But things have become very heavy on the brother. Things have become so heavy that I think that because his mentor, who would be giving him instructions and information about what to do next, he's dead. You'll notice that he's not assured. You'll notice that he doesn't have the same kind of verve or intensity. He is kind of resolved in his way. He's tired. What he thought would have been the great experiment to actually overthrow and do what he did, he finds he is nothing more than a pawn. He may have helped by trying to institute and change things in accordance with his masters, but he has been used. He was used from a child, trained to lead, put into office to do things to change it from political democracy to a social democracy, but then it has changed. He is now an instrument of the very people that he thought he could bring down. So now what do we have? Technically, World War III has officially begun. The very war that you heard that was supposed to have been started right after World War II, back in 1954, 53, that became the Korean War instead, it already started. How did it start? Well, World War III began when Israel nuked Syria 3 times. Let me say that again. You didn't hear me. Israel dropped 3 nuclear-sized weapons on Syria. The shit has literally hit the fan. Over 196,000 people were killed. You didn't hear that in the news, did you? Now, you see, we had some fun because I was bringing you through everything that everybody knew that you didn't know. And I did that because I'm not giving you anything that's new. I'm putting things that would not be available to you out there. If you want me to come back and do the decrypting the asymmetric algorithms of psycho-spiritual warfare, I have a huge lecture ready to do that. But I switched up to do this because we are close to having the same thing happen here. You have to remember that the #1 mission of those who are running the so-called Illuminati, because the Illuminati are also pawns for an even higher order, they essentially want to destroy what the United States has become. People who think freely for themselves, who do things for themselves, who don't care about authority, who would rather follow people who have their interests in mind. That has to stop. When you want to enslave someone, you have to take away their independent thinking and feeling. You have to make them fear being independent thinkers. You have to make them think that independent thinking is tantamount to their own destruction, when essentially independent thinking is what moved America forward. Yes. The incursion of the feminist movement was a way of destroying creativity in America, and America has always been the central focal point of creativity for the entire planet. Once they took away the masculine creativity and the impetus that the masculine creativity recognized and represented in music, in industry, and everything, and undermined it by putting a generalized feminine managerial workforce in place to manage whatever it is that was already in place, what moved America forward and kept it at the leadership end of the world shut down. Because they were just managing stuff that was done last 2 decades ago. Jobs are dying because there's no innovation.
Yes, right. Yeah.
There's nothing to innovate. And all the crap Palm Pilots and all these things that you're seeing, that's like 50-year-old technology that the military been using.
Yeah.
What do you think the internet is? It's military.
Yes.
When you think little pocket pilots, military. They got so sophisticated now, they don't even need to talk through any kind of machinery. They can talk directly through what they call implanted telepathy. Excuse me?
How long did they do this?
It was about last 2 weeks ago, about a week ago, 2 weeks ago.
Oh, damn.
When do you think this happened? Oh, you all didn't know this happened just a couple of weeks ago? Oh, my bad. They were saying something about it being a blockbuster bomb and all that.
The show was like 100 people.
No, it ain't.
Yep.
These are micro nukes.
Wow.
196,000 people? They said, well, 3,000 people died in skirmishes?
Yeah.
No. That's like they dropping a nuke down here and killing 196 people and then reporting 6,000 people died.
Yes. So, Philip, what did Syria have to do to strike them back?
Syria, you will read if you wait a little minute. Another one. Both of them ain't going home. Russia declares that it will retaliate if Israel persists. Israel's on the brink of annihilation by an unlikely coalition. Now, either that's counter-espionage information being put out there to make us believe Israel ain't had nothing to do with it, or people, agents working for Israel, is trying to make us believe that Israel got problems, and that Israel is looking like it's coming down, or there's going to be a problem, blah, blah, blah. Maybe Israel is even putting that out to soften or to make people believe that Israel is in trouble when Israel is manipulating the whole damn thing. But Russia has entered into the fray. The Allies, listen carefully, are led by Russia under Vladimir Putin. Today's world struggle brings Russia to the forefront for the first time, openly at odds with her own Zionist masters. With Putin are aligned the following groups: President Obama, the Islamic Republic of Iran, Syria, Iraq, and Hezbollah. Now, how many times have you been hearing Hezbollah is all bad? Hezbollah kicked Israel's ass. Hezbollah kicked Israel's ass when they went into Jordan. These people are now aligning against these people. Those looking for war are the Axis, and this is a report put out on the down low. These are the people: Turkey, Germany, Israel, Saudi Arabia, and Qatar, Britain and France, Senator McCain and Al-Qaeda, Senator McCain and Al-Qaeda, the AIPAC Israel lobby for Congress, the world's corporate press, mouthpieces for the parasitic elite. So what you're looking at is World War III. Remember World War II? We had the Axis and the so-called powers. Well, they're aligning it up again this way. This time they're using bigger toys. According to Gordon Duff, this is the man who put out the report of Press TV, Israel bombs Syria and threatens Iran. Russia moves its warships into the Mediterranean and furnishes Syria with advanced anti-aircraft weapons. Hezbollah defends Syria against Al-Qaeda. Pro-Israel U.S. senators like John McCain joins forces with Al-Qaeda. The White House now stands with Russia, Syria, and Iran. President Putin then contacted American President Barack Obama. Putin confirmed that Russia would not allow any further nuclear attacks without responding in kind against Israel, and that, under the circumstances, the United States would be advised that Israel has made her bed, and if she chooses, she will die in it. Understand that we're not playing here. I'm not, it's good to entertain and entertain at the same time and to do the right thing, to learn and so forth. But what I'm doing is essentially making more important issues to bring up today. Because people tell, oh, you're doing metaphysics over there in La La Land, you ain't saying nothing. Well, what I wanted to do was to say something to you all so that the video or whatever you all are going to do to go back and tell people what happened. That you're going to go back with a keener understanding and understanding about what's really going on. And that the trivial things that we have going on, what I said at the beginning about we Moors, all this bullshit about we have this and that and that and that, the charter says this and that. Grand Council coming together to make sense of it all for everybody so that we can come to unify. Because guess what? You're going to have to take a side one day, very soon. When Russia starts giving armament to Syria, my boy is tired. He's had it, and like I said, on May 23, President Obama spoke for 48 minutes outlining American policies. The speech was misquoted, lied about, and eventually censored in the press. Why? What did he say? America's rendition program is a war crime. Remember when they were talking about it was necessary? We got to get people, take them to other countries, torture them because they are terrorists. Now, the president who's supposed to be supporting that comes out and says this, but you ain't hear shit. Remember, he says, I don't care. So he's opening himself up to what? Assassination. America's rendition program is a war crime, and that prisoners are being illegally kidnapped and tortured. Yes, President Obama called rendition illegal and waterboarding torture. All drone attacks outside Iraq and Afghanistan were authorized by Congress at one time, and that further drone attacks require oversight. Obama admitted that many drone attacks were wrong, and that there was inadequate accountability, and that drone attack policies were wrong and irresponsible. By presidential order, no armed drone could ever be flown over the United States. Because they were planning to. Now, remember I told you, back in the 90s, that they're going to be putting all kinds of surveillance equipment on cockroaches and birds. Yeah, y'all remember I said that. He said, that nigga crazy. But I don't look that crazy now, right? Back in 19, they said that boy needs some help. I remember y'all saying that. So now, what are we looking at, family? Uncle Freddie. I wonder why this name, Uncle Freddie, became Alfredi Newman. Interesting, right? But then, what's so funny about this? Absolutely nothing. I just wanted to say thank you all, everyone, for your time. Any questions, maybe have some lights, please. Hi. I can see your faces now. Hello, Ann. Ann Brown, everyone. Powerful speaker, teacher. I can feel a few questions because I wanted to end early. That's why I went very quickly. So, yes, how are you, Sister Ann? Aminata, yes.
How are you?
I'm well,
Thank you so much. I wanted to ask, what is the connection with the Bilderberg Group? Because I know that Obama is a member of that.
Okay. Got a word? You should come up to the microphone. Which microphone did they come up to?
1, 2. But I'm not running around. No microphone. Tired. Testing 1.
His brother's testing. Please come over here. Well, the sister already asked a question. I asked it for her. The Bilderberger Group. If you have any questions, please come over to the microphone, and I'll be glad to answer.
Got 2 sides. 2 sides.
Ah, 2 sides. Very good. Bilderberger Group. Thank you very much. By the way, Brother Osiris Bey, my standby, well, bodyguard. Second degree, you don't mess with him. He'll hurt you. But he's a nice guy, big teddy bear. That hurts. The Bilderberger Group is a think tank. And yes, they're all connected. But the Bilderberger Group is like down here, and the people who control are up here. There are just office managers who come together from around the world to get their instructions and then to go out and to disseminate policies on a world basis.
So is Newman above the Bilderberg?
Newman was not above the Bilderbergers, though I believe that he worked within the Bilderbergers, probably infiltrated and knew what they were about. But I think that he was too smart, and I believe he had power, because when you have a man like Bloomberg giving you millions of dollars and going to you and asking you for help to get elected, then you have to see that Newman had some serious power. So Bilderberger, yes, but then that's like office boys. That was one side. Let me try this side now. And only the ladies have questions.
Hello.
Oh! No, I have to stop. I have to stop for a minute. I have to call out a brother who is one of my closest friends, my big brother. This brother is a master craftsman. He hates this word. He hates this word. He's going to tell me, my acting coach. He hates that word. But the brother has been co-starring and featured in such movies as One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, Brubaker, Serpico. Brothers, sisters, I'm going to point them out. My brother Ezekiel, Nathan George, stand up, come on. Nathan, that's a beautiful brother. Action part about. Now y'all go home and go ahead and get these up on Netflix and go check him out. Yeah, I had to blow you up like that. Yes, sister.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Sister Nazarene, and I would like to ask you a question about when you activate your mind and you begin to vibrate on a higher frequency. There are people that pop up in your house and try to erase your memory after implanting a certain chip inside of the brain to create a worm. I would like to know if you know a little bit about that and about when you awaken and see what's truly happening here. Do they have something that can monitor your brainwave activity? Because I've experienced someone who has tried to erase my memory.
Well, I told you that in the beginning, that they are doing that. They have different types of technologies that can now scramble the electromagnetic wave patterns in your brain. And they can download in packets of thoughts that make you believe that you're thinking thoughts that belong to you, but you do not.
One more quick question. Do we have the antidote for this? And also, do we have some means of some way of protection for the enlightened and encoded children like me who can listen to these frequencies? Do we have some way of protecting us and some way of getting these implants out of us?
Well, implants can only affect the organic body if they have organic foundations, and that's what they become, more sophisticated and organic. So they have organic-based implant technology that can make your body believe that the organic part of the implant is actually part of your body. Now, the way to do that is to go into meditation, and in that meditation, see your body from the inside out. Maybe you could take a picture of a body that has its nerves, its bones, and implant that in your mind as a healthy image of your body. And then anything that does not belong in the body, that is not what your idea of a pristine body is, will then begin to reveal itself to you.
Thank you, brother.
Good. Okay. Give thanks. Sister. Please.
Thank you for your knowledge. How likely is it that after, or the result of World War III will be Jewish empowerment to the extent that you describe it as with Gentiles, enslavement? And what can we do to protect ourselves from that?
Your voice is so soft, I didn't hear it.
How likely is it that the result of World War III will be Jewish empowerment to the extent that you explain it as? And what can we do to protect ourselves from Gentile enslavement?
Oh, good question. Well, it has to do with organization. It has to do with coming together in coalitions, but not on television like Tavis Smiley, every Negro personality and cult of personality going up there telling everybody in the world what the hell they're going to do. When you are at war, you don't go out on television and tell the enemy, here's what I'm going to do. We do not have a dark matter think tank. We do not have people strategizing in the shadows. We do not have a stealth operative special forces of black people who are essentially working towards our betterment and our good. We do not have that. So for us to say, well, here's what we're going to do, or if I tell you what to do, how in the hell are you going to implement it when you do not have a network together to implement? You do not have power. They took all your power out of Harlem. Look at Harlem today. Harlem does not belong to you anymore. You can go to districts and so forth where you can tell who belongs to that particular district and that place, but you can't tell Harlem belongs to black folks anymore. There's a lot of us here, but we don't own a damn thing. We don't have political power. We don't have resources or monies. We don't have schools teaching our own children. Am I racist? No. I can't be racist. I'm just right. Yeah. You can't be racist if you have no power. I don't have the kind of socio-political power that can make me racist and tell a white man, you can't have a job. You can't live here. No, sister, it is not going to be very pleasant for dark folks, which is why I wanted you to see this and to understand and understand that the war that is being prosecuted against you is going to start when these devils, these cave maggots who hate you, find out exactly what happened to them. You are not going to have another black man doing any damn thing in this country for a very, very long time. And the only place you're going to see us in groups is on a damn basketball court. You're not going to see coalitions any place. And y'all going to love seeing your brothers running up and down the damn basketball court. Kobe! Did you see what LeBron did? Are you making LeBron's money? No, you're not. So why the hell are you so happy about him making a layup? Let me ask you that question again. Because your children goes out and does, and they say, LeBron! You are trapped in what I spoke to you about earlier. You all are locked down in the synchronicity. You don't have a mind of your own. You are caught up playing the game where they tell you to play the game. And the rules is what they structure for you to follow. And every time you follow the damn rules, you get happier. You have a giddiness when you act like that. You want to be like that. You crave to be like that. You damn fools. So no, we don't have a plan to get out of here. You don't have food sources, weapons, necessary people to come together to protect your community. You don't have any of that. So why ask me what to do? If you have these in place, I can tell you, marshal your people here, do this here, do that there, because the resources are in place. Where are your resources? Y'all are one check away. Used to be 2 checks. Are y'all 1 check away?
Yeah, that's how bad it is now, yeah.
So ask me questions that I can answer now and help you with now, because y'all ain't ready. And please, in the back, if we can, respect for the brothers and sisters. Yes, brother.
I have a question. I spent a lot of time growing up admiring Vernon Jordan, and I recently had the chance to meet him, and I couldn't help but be deeply disappointed and, I don't know, kind of troubled about something the way he acted. And I was wondering, I mean, I know he went to the Bilderberg here recently, and I used to work at a bank that he works at. And I'm just wondering, where is his mind right now?
I can't tell you where Vernon Jordan's mind is right now, but I do know he's part of the Boule.
Yeah.
And that's a mind of its own that belongs to Rockefeller. So anybody going to Bilderberg who has that much power and has that much color definitely belongs to somebody. He got a very, very tight, invisible noose around his neck. One that, a collar that is tugged whenever Massa wants him to roll over, play dead. So I'm sorry, I don't know what I can tell you about him. I know he's Boule, and Boule is essentially that talented tent that was created to circumvent any kind of nationalistic or back to Africa mentality. Because if the Africans here were to align with Africans there, the think tank and the mind trust here would definitely have awoken the brothers on the continent to the shit that these people were putting down over here. So they made sure they got rid of Garvey. And they took the niggers to do it. So, I'm sorry, I can't answer that for you. I can't answer for him. His actions already have answered for him. Thank you for your question. Yes, sister?
Brother Valentine.
Yes, sister.
Thank you for imparting the information that you imparted tonight. I was looking forward to you teaching on metaphysics, so perhaps you'll come back with that one. My question is pertaining to your teaching on the metaphysics of the Bible. I've been watching
my favorite subject.
I've been studying that. I'm just catching up. I've been studying that. And so my question was, because you mentioned a couple of different pastors. So my question was, do these pastors that are teaching the doctrine of the Bible, are they aware of the metaphysical aspects of the Bible and still, preach and teach the word despite knowing that, as if these were actual people, or are they not aware?
Well, I would think, beloved, that they are aware of it because of people like me. I have outrightly attacked them all across the country and told them that they were pulpit pimps from a very long time ago. I know that there was a California preacher when I went out and started charging Christianity for taking more money out of the community than the IRS. I charged Reverend Price and all of those other pulpit pimps way back before it became popular. And all of a sudden, the next preaching he did right after I left was on metaphysics. And I did it on the radio at the time with another brother named Brother Jamal, Inner Light Radio, and it was Stevie Wonder's radio station, and they hurried up and got him on. So yes, I think some of them are aware because now and then I hear them inculcate some metaphysics, but I know that they wouldn't dare inculcate the true metaphysics of the Bible because then that would put them out of work. They got to keep you believing that there is a God outside of you and that there is something that you are going to be beholding to that has a white man's face with a white beard. And that some white man was put up on a cross and there's Negroes over there crying and moaning and talking about Jesus coming to save them. I want us to look at black folks in this goddamn country now and tell me whether or not Jesus has come back. Yeah. Or if Jesus has really helped you to do a damn thing, collectively as a people. Except give you more misery and reason to go into all kinds of fainted trance and give up your money. And then buy Creflo Pimpernel another damn airplane.
It's interesting that you said that about Jesus, and you mentioned Dr. Price, because he actually, in one of his books, he goes as far as to tracing Jesus' lineage to, you know, being of mixed ethnicity.
Okay, so he's going with the Obama protocol, right? Yeah.
Yes.
So Jesus got the Obama protocol, so anything to keep himself on that throne. Yeah, listen, Christian insanity and that kind of ilk, I ain't got no time for. I'm sorry, sister. If you want us to deal with some deep metaphysics, let's get into the metaphysics. But to deal with these idiots on a what do you call it, talking about Jesus is going to help you, and he walked on the waters and all this hell crap in 2013, you still pushing that crap? Nah. All Christians deserve to go to hell.
Thank you.
On YouTube, they have a bunch of school children saying, yes we can, and they play it backwards for whatever it's worth. Does the human brain have the ability to process that backwards?
Yes, children do that. Babies talk backwards, you just don't hear it.
Could it be used to hypnotize us?
Yes, you're talking about dealing with implanted programming and what they call it, backslanting, or what is that, back talking? Backmasking, I'm sorry, thank you very much. Backmasking. Yeah, babies talk backwards. They prove that. If you listen to the mumblings of little infants while they're trying to talk, record them and then run it backwards, you hear them saying your words. They speak in retrograde. And if you listen to babies speak, you will hear them saying what you have been teaching them, or when they're going, they're speaking backwards, and those are the ones speaking in tongues, not dumb fools. Thank you very much. Yes, brother.
Brother Phil, appreciate you, man.
Yes,
I just got a question in relationship to being leaving or exiting the third dimension.
Yeah.
Holding somewhat over the fourth dimension. And cats who are claiming that they're coming from the fifth dimension and giving you all this sort of...
Yeah, white people have this thing where they're coming from fifth dimensions. Listen, let me tell you something. I don't hate white people because that's a waste of time. I'm part white too.
Right.
So what I'm telling you is that the ones, the Caucasoids, who are the blue-eyed, blonde-haired people in the higher echelon, not the lower echelon, the higher echelon, who believe that they are something different from the rest of the planet, are now finding out that they are different from the rest of the planet. And so therefore, the deeper they dig, the blacker the planet gets. Every time they dig for any kind of evidence of their existence, they keep going into Africa and saying, our ancestors. Wait a minute, hold on. Why is it that only white people can actually dig in Africa? Why is it that Nova and the Twistery Channel can give me black history through white people telling me what black people have been doing? Why the hell can't I tell my own goddamn story? And why is it that every time they can't find any kind of history, they go to outer space and tell me that white people from Lyra came down and visited them and genetically altered us, and of course made them the superior people on the planet. These people have nothing else to do, and when they have billions and trillions of dollars of resources, have access that we don't have to be able to twist stories into any goddamn lie they want. And then feed it to us as the Man of Steel, or Iron Man, or Thor, each one of them taken from African information There ain't a damn thing. Even Zeus is an Ethiopian, goddamn it. But of course, Zeus is played by a white man. Everything on goddamn television is white. You turn the channel and everybody is paled out, and beauty is paled out, and then everybody is white, and there's one person at the picnic that's black, like we let them in the neighborhood. They think we're really stupid. With Obama in office, we don't have to complain anymore. You got a nigga in the presidency. Why should you even want to be doing anything that we do? You can't do commercials. You can't look like us. You can't look like you have a decent home. You can't even be a fucking superhero. Every goddamn commercial is somebody white, but all the McDonald's commercials are black. I look at every picture, I do my scanning before I come to talk to you all, and I find out that all over cable channel, you got a white woman running the FBI now, you got a white woman running the CIA now, but black people can't get there, and if he's black, he is isolated. You don't see family, you don't see shit. You just see a black leader talking shit, getting angry, and then everybody around him is white, carrying out his orders. They really think we're stupid when they start making these programmings. And then we wonder, and they say, well, I don't understand. Why is it that the dog test, when the little child says, which is the good dog? Oh, the blonde one. Which is the bad dog? The black one. And in 2012, that's the same thing? Yeah. The dog test from the 50s is the same as the dog test in 21st century? Yeah. And white people say that we shouldn't hate, and that we should now love, and kumbaya, and all this here old happy horse shit. I'm not going for it when white folks tell me that I'm racist for pointing out how fucked up they are. They tell me that a picture is worth 1,000 words. If I see white people doing more shit than black people, then that's the picture that is going to be downloaded into me and my children. So don't tell me that you're going into Africa, and can't find nobody black.
That's right.
Can't find nobody black to actually tell their own story.
That's right. Exactly. Right.
Big thick lips, black, because ancient entity I've showed that the inside of there, the mummies and so forth were black, the original black people of Kemet were black.
That's right.
But of course white people are saying, and that goddamn Iwas, what's his name? He's a Vatican plant. He can't find anybody black, so I'm in Tutankhamun black. You know him as Tutankhamun. But they never, ever put the name of God at the end. So they twisted it around. Know that, and it's so nefarious and it's so sickening to see that if you look at the cartoon channels, every fucking little cartoon is blonde, redhead, white.
Yes.
And our children are looking at that shit, and you all are letting them look at it. That's their babysitter. So all positive beings, everything accomplishing shit is these little white children being downloaded into your little black child's mind. Turn the fucking TV off. And play with your own children. You'll be surprised what kind of imagination that they have. Let them guide you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you.
Pardon me, honey. Go ahead.
No more fifth-dimension questions.
Sorry about that. Yes, sister.
I'm Teresa Gonzalez, and I'm going to ask a question from what you see.
in the beginning of the lecture, you talked about the tactical implementation. Can you hear me? Yes. You talked about the tactical implementation of synthetic means. Beyond, not plugging into the media, television, radio, being very careful about that, are there any technologies, either physical or metaphysical, that an individual can use to help unplug themselves from these synthetic means?
That's good. Well, we have to first identify them because they become part of our very actions and reactions. Synthetic means being placed in your society that are being taken up in your consciousness to actually be expressed as your matter-of-fact behavior. You have to now investigate your matter-of-fact behavior. You have to now investigate what it is that you do automatically. If you have an automatic craving for Haagen-Dazs ice cream, you need to ask yourself why. If you have an automatic feeling and craving to want to go to church, you have to ask yourself why. Think about that. If you have an automatic feeling and craving that you want to go and get an education, you have to ask yourself why. All of these things that we've become comfortable with in our matter-of-fact reality has become the synthetic meme that we are constantly following. We invent languages from the foundational memes that are synthetically invaginated within the society. We constantly forward it. It's a virus. It's a way of using words and behaviorisms and the thing to do to infect the next person. The biggest propagator of synthetic memes is your television. And your children are being downloaded every day with Japanese characters that have blonde hair. That shit really fucks with me. Synthetic meme. So when you know that there are things that are happening, things that are going on around you that just don't seem right, know that somehow it has been put into place for you to adapt to it. And that just like anything else that you adapt to, it becomes part of you. A canker sore grows over it and makes it part of your being. So meditation on everything that you want to choose to do and second guess your automatic reflexive reaction to your reality. That's what our school is about. The University of Computer Sciences teaches you to study the causal realm so that you can understand the effectual one. You do not have a language of the causal realm. In fact, everything that you have been given is to describe your surface reality. Your entire world is a description. You do not have a definition of it. There's a difference between a description of your world and a definition of it. We have been living on descriptions of ourselves, black, white, and they've been given to us. And we have propagated them just like any other disease. And in so doing, we now have tilled the soil for the plant and seeding of other means. It's a synchronicity. So, examine everything you do in your reality that is in response to the outer world. And know that it has been synthetically organized for you to react that way. Those who react counter to it are called crazy. But those are the ones who are acting sanely, because to act sane in an insane world means that you are insane. It is no measure, as one of my teachers said, Krishnamurti, it is no measure to say that you are sane in an insane world. You've adapted to this bullshit. You walk as if it's normal, and you feel normal inside of all of this shit. So, all I can say to you, beloved sisters, is to re-examine everything that you do automatically. Re-examine everything that you react to and have been taught that you have to react to in a specific way. And then when you find out the insanity in it, you'll have found out where your insomnia and your amnesia lies. You can't sleep. You sleep, your true sleep. You haven't really had true sleep. Because all the memes have been turning in your head to make sure that your dreams match them. So, find out where you really are. Examine the boundaries of that reality, and then see what happens when you step over them. Watch how the world reacts to you then. Then you will probably know that you have become freed of that meme.
The world runs away.
Exactly. Thank you, sister. Fantastic. All right. One of my top students at the University of Commercial Sciences, this man is a master at the Meta Nature language. He will be one of our expert teachers, Brother Kwame. You go and give it up for him. He has also got a new job. He's joined a band with one of the Wailers, guitar player from the Wailers. He is now the keyboardist for that band as well.
Yeah, thank you for coming back up, hang with us. And I want to ask you, what do you think is, how plausible could it be that Valentine Shabazz may have found out that he was being used and manipulated by Rumek, and in the possibility that he might have confronted this cat named Miguel Angel Suarez, and that they were just a front?
Yeah, that's an interesting point, that Suarez could and most likely would have been possibly an agent, and that the entire organization is an intelligence organization that was structured there to actually go into the Mexican, I guess the underground of those people that are in the underground, and to manage the Mexican Mafia's information. Remember, we've been funding the Mexican Mafia for God knows how long. You know, so it could have been that he was actually sent down there to die. He was called down there to die. But of course, Malcolm goes where he wanted to go, where people looked like they needed his help to organize and so forth, because he was doing what his father did, or his grandfather did. And as a result, he was a threat. And more, if you see what he is able to sound like when he talked, he was very, very articulate, and one with that type of articulation and a growing means. This guy was in his 20s. Just imagine what would have happened 10 years from now. He could have been the president.
See, I also done a little bit of research on it, and I found that there was a sister that had a blog talk radio show, and she found out that there were no court records reflecting the fact that Miguel Suarez was ever deported, as they said he was.
Very good.
There were no court records, and that there's no phone number to be reached for Rumek.
Isn't that something? Well, see, there it is. Now we know that if there's no court records, if there are any kind of organization, you know it was a definite inside spook plan. And then he was sent down there to be assassinated. He was called down there to be assassinated. All right, thank you very much, my brother. All right.
Please, my name is Debbie.
Hi.
I wanted to ask you, I have 5 children, 2 of which are very intuitive. My daughter I've just had to pull my son out of school because two teachers, attacked him. He's been out of school about 2 months. My daughter I'm about to pull out as well. Being that they're very intuitive, I want to know how can I protect them better in the system.
Get him out of the system.
Get them out. Get them out.
There is no protection in the system. Find a way to homeschool your children. You can call our number. Our number is 1-800-847-1291. Again, 800-847-1291. And call there and talk to my wife, Dr. Lalani, and ask her about the homeschooling programs, the home tutoring program that we have. We teach the parents how to tutor their children at home. Okay? That would be the best thing. Take those children out of there because the school was meant to destroy the education system, not the education, but we call it the deducation system. It's meant to destroy children, our children especially young black boys.
Can I just speak to that, please? Because I was in a similar situation when my children were little. Take them out. And don't be pressured by the Board of Education to put them back into a school that is insufficient or not good for them. Take them out, find out how to homeschool them, and don't let them go back in there.
I've been trying, but they're fighting me at every
Oh, don't worry about it. Fight back.
Fight back. Come on. I'm a witness. I've been through it. Don't give in to that. Find out how you can homeschool them and homeschool them. You're much better off.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to know who that was. That's Sister Lillias White, Emmy Award winner, Broadway. We got superstars in here. I was told.
What's the number again?
800. It's right there. 847-1291. Biggest day. I was told that I cannot have any more questions behind the brother with the flag shirt. I know, but you go ahead and protect me then when they come after me. I want to introduce Sister Prema. Sister Prema has been with us from the very beginning. Beautiful sister, healer, Sister Prema.
Reverend Valentine, I just want to say, I'm born in Harlem. I was here when the Panthers were here. I was here when Malcolm was here. I'm born in the late 40s. And what I want to say, I've watched the decline of the people to an extent that it brings tears to my eyes because we've been stripped of our identity and our self-esteem. And our courage, our fearlessness.
Yes.
Now, I agree we don't have powers to fight any kind of war, but I want to ask you this. What we're going through as a people, could it be karma? And if it is karma, or sins of the Father, because I see that we can't work together, we don't really love each other, and we've lost our self-love. So, is all of this not being real and true?
Yes.
That's why we meditate, to go into the real.
Right.
I see that we're in a state, we're at a point where we could really transform ourselves if we had the tools. We got a lot of information, but we're not applying it.
That's right.
And it's basic, the simple things we're not doing.
That's right.
Can you give us some encouraging, practical things that we could do so that we could take our children out of school, if that be
That's number one, yes.
and that we can change our addiction. I'm an ex-barmaid, so I understand addiction.
Addiction, yeah.
Okay, I was a barmaid in the Bronx in the 60s, so
Right.
I'm over 60, but I'm grateful to the Most High that I'm still intact.
Yes.
So if you could give us something that we could go home with, that we could apply immediately to get ourselves back in alignment, I think it would help us a lot.
Thank you very much, yes. Well, again, we go back to the fundamentals. You need to, from the time this is what I tell most of my students, from the time you pick your legs up to put it into bed, to put your head into the pillow to go to sleep, to the time you wake up, put them back down, do your day, and then get back in your bed, Start looking at everything that you do automatically. From the time you put your feet down to the time you put it back up again. Write it down. You do things so automatically that you do not know what you are doing anymore. You do not even know that you are doing self-destructive things because they come naturally. They are of normal type of naturalness, but they are natural to you nonetheless. After you've made a schematic of what you do every day, and sometimes it vacillates, so make sure you have at least 7 days that you have articulated what you do, because then you find out when you loop it exactly where you are caught up. Now, if your children are going to school and you're getting complaints and you know that you don't want your children there, do not send them to school. I know it says, oh my God, what am I going to do? I got a job, I got this. Well, guess what? I thought of something that I don't know why you don't do it. They are retired teachers that are not doing anything but drawing a pension. If you want your children to be taught by some of the old school teachers who know reading, writing, and arithmetic, get 20 or 25 of you together and put $10 or $20 in every week, and in a susu, pay them some money to teach your children. $22 times $20, $30, $40, $50 from each person is chump change to keep the integrity and sanity of your children. And you could find somebody's house to do it in. We spend nearly $1.5 trillion as a collective people here in the United States of America, and we ain't got a damn thing to show for it.
That's right.
We have resources like you would not believe right amongst us right here. But we are so busy with the social memes that tell you that your money is better spent with white people. And spent over here on Gucci and Moochie and Smoochie and all the rest of them bastards. Instead of you going to the people who can craft your kind of style that everybody will be copying around the world, because every goddamn body around the world copies you any goddamn way. We have brothers like Faranacore. We have the brothers that are there who are dealing, Brother Red and Blue Pill. Yes. We have brothers like Hank Rising Sun over there, my little brother. We have people who are over here doing things every day that can actually enrich the community if we but curve it back towards ourselves instead of it leaking out and hemorrhaging out into everybody else's goddamn pocket. The other thing is that we learn to grow our own food. Now that's easier said than done in some cases. But if you call us at, and I'll say it again, 800-847-1291, we will tell you about the tower gardens, where we grow our food in towers. If you live in an apartment and you get enough sunshine, you can actually grow your own food. Lettuce, cucumbers, all these foods can be grown by yourself. And you can make your own clothes, teach your own, make your own cosmetics. There's people in Africa waiting for you to connect with them to import the materials at dirt cheap to make your own materials, your own cosmetics. And stop enriching these Koreans by you sisters using that horsehair shit. Now look at it, you see everybody looking around to see who got the horsehair on.
Good luck with that. Giving them
Good luck with that. Coming conscious with your your diets, not your diets, with your nutrition. Putting doctors out of business in your community. Teaching children how to interface with nature. Shutting down television and saying television will be shown for only an hour and we will show you what to show, and then take the plug out, hide the plug so that they don't have any television. Take away the computer for a while so that all they do is homework and they surf on what you want them to surf, and then shut it down and tell them stories about their own people and what it is that they can do by their damn self. Then take the damn computer apart and get somebody to show them how to put it back together again. Let them build their own computer, because it was a black man who invented the damn internet in the first place. You are your own worst enemies and you are your own messiahs. You are your own saviors.
That's right.
I can't tell you what to do because you already know what you can't do.
That's right.
You can damn near fly when you want to play basketball.
That's right.
You're so goddamn fast in football they can't catch you.
Oh, Lord.
You look good as hell in a presidential uniform. Everybody wants to be you. The whole hip-hop community is what everybody in the world is copying today. As a black male, you have employed more people than the U.S. government. Everybody is walking, talking, gesticulating, working their hats to the side, pulling their fucking pants down to the crack of their ass because you do it. Which means you have power that you don't know, and you have power that you are misusing and abusing. And it is time for you to understand that you are leaders in absentia. You are leaders in amnesia. And you have to wake up. Period. Yes, Mother. Thank you. Oh, it's not you. Grandmaster. Brother Sophie. Yes, give it up for him.
Yes, Brother Phil, how you doing? You're a bad man. I mean, I didn't know nothing about metaphysics until I came up on you. I mean, our whole family, they get us a donor, everybody. I'm the only one that's awake, and I'm on the Jamaica Avenue, and I don't have none of these instruments, and I'm the only one that I give them hell on the avenue when a Christian come around. I had an asthma as a kid come up to me. I tore his ass open like he didn't know. He had to walk away.
Had the back up.
He had the back up. That's the only thing I know. You said you did a DVD on the hollow workers. I would love to get that and study it. And I've been studying the DVDs. What you did on the extraterrestrials.
Yes.
If you know anything about them and they hear and what it is they do.
Okay. You wanted to know what?
About the hollow workers.
Oh, okay.
And the extraterrestrial beings that are here.
Okay, the extraterrestrial news first. There is going to be an announcement sometime within the next 5 to 10 years, maybe even sooner, that we do have underground bases where they are extraterrestrials, and not only that, interterrestrials and aquaterrestrials that have been interfacing with us and the U.S. government and other governments around the world for the last 75 to 100 years. But that's nothing new because they've been here for thousands of years. Essentially, what we are dealing with, is that a lot of people think that we're crazy because we think about extraterrestrials, because anybody who thinks that there are no extraterrestrials or that they could not be anything that lives outside the planet Earth is living in a damn cocoon. The very fact that we have the capacity to dream ourselves and envision ourselves off the goddamn planet means we have been off the planet. The other thing is the Ethiopians already have admitted that they have a book that already dictates to them from their ancestors that they came from Mars. So did the South Africans. The Zulus have books that state they are from Mars. Now, white people are sending things out into outer space, and they're discovering all kinds of black-looking faces in different parts of the solar neighborhood. And of course, they have to chip off the lips and make it thin once again. Chip off the noses and make it pointed once again. We have to see that anything that had anything with a pointed nose or a straight line nose had to be white. So when you look at Ethiopians and see them with straight noses, you begin to wonder who it is they're talking about. But again, you may think that I am a racist because I keep talking about the fact that there is an evident disparity in the representation of African peoples in the general media. Why is it that we are not represented in the same capacity and at the same quantity as white people are in this day and age? Why is it that and I'm telling you, look at your television, every new goddamn television show is about some blonde woman who runs the show. It's become so sickening now that you really believe that a woman in those capacities can actually do all the jump kicks and the karate shit that they put her to do. It's bullshit. Okay? You need to stop looking and absorbing that because your children are absorbing it, which is why you see all these young black girls out here with all these damn black blonde wigs.
Yeah.
Everybody's saying, I know they're going to listen to this and say, this guy is just, he's just a hateful person. And he's such a racist. He's just a racist. No, I'm not a racist. I'm calling you a racist.
Yes.
And I'm telling you how I see you as a racist.
All right.
And you keep calling us nigger, 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 yeah, nigger, 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 nigger. Well, I don't mind being called a nigger because I know where nigger comes from. Nigger comes from negus, nagos, which means king.
Yes.
We know what nigger means, but see, if I call you a knuckle-dragging, Neanderthal cave maggot, you can't go back and justify the majesty in that. But I can justify nigger descended from majesty. So nigger, please. As far as the hollow walkers are concerned, the hollow walkers are those who walk amongst us and do not have the energy of the breath form that they call the soul.
All right.
They have what is known as an electroneural implant that allows them to have a asymmetric functioning algorithm of humanity. The hollow walkers are algorithms of humanity. They are quantum algorithms of humanity. They have an implant in them. It's a genetic implant that can only loop the downloaded programs within the algorithms. And they walk amongst us. And they do specific functions. And they are going to be the new military that essentially has no empathy with who they're killing. Which will make it much easier for them to come here to slaughter because they will not be recruited from your children. Right now they have over 167,000 of these algorithmically uploaded super soldiers that they have been creating.
They also have robotic soldiers and all the best top UFC fighters in every category, all black, and they whipping all these white boy asses. All of them.
AI, all artificial intelligence. Thank you very much, brother. Yes, no, this time. This is the last question, and before the last question, like I said, this is our number. If you want vaccination exemptions,
Yes.
Yeah.
We have vaccination exemption services and packages to offer. If you want to purchase my book, The Wounded Wound, you can call me and then I will get back to you and let you know the specific email address that you go into. And if you wish to purchase my wife's book, which is 7 Steps to Healing and Wellness, you can call that number. If you want a consultation in health, you can call this number. If you want a consultation because your marriage is going bad, call this number. If you want a consultation having to do with just metaphysics and you want to ask me all kind of crazy questions, then you pay for it, but you can call this number. But I just want you to know that, let me go ahead and answer your question before I close.
Peace, Valentine. I want to thank you all, you and your wife. I know you don't like all the extra praises, but you all assisted me a lot with my young one, Zalila. I had a couple of questions for you. I went about, I had my daughter natural, 18-hour labor, no drugs, no vaccinations, didn't give up any footprints. I had to go to the hospital, but I was in and out. So she doesn't have the Social Security number, no birth certificate signed or anything like that, but now she's coming of age, she's almost 3. And I've been doing the flashcards and the ABCs and the 1, 2, 3s and things like that with her. And I was thinking about getting the homeschooling thing done early because it's my first child. I'm not sure how early to start. But I do remember you mentioned one time in a lecture that you did about sometimes it might be a little too early to start them reading because it kind of squares them out, if you will.
Is it a girl?
Yeah, her name is Aliyah.
Oh, hey, pumpkin.
And I had called thanks to Dr. Nalani again for she had some earrings and stuff, and I got a lot of assistance from you and your wife. But so what is that about?
I know it's a little bit early to implement that because I don't. The new paradigm that we're going to attempt to implement is that when we get our children, and of course you will have to volunteer your children, and we're going to have to take them from that age. I'm sorry, if they're older than 10 or 12, we're not going to be able to work with them. We'll work as what it will be a kind of intervention for them. Whereas we will be dealing directly with babies. We don't want our children to read. We don't want our children to look at television or to have any contact with the outside world through the media or through any electronic means until they're 7 years of age. The reason for that is all of the formative parts that give them the foundation of their interface and synchronicity and synthesis with nature happens from the womb until 7 years of age. If we do not enhance and amplify the empathetic signatures and genetics within that child, then they will be estranged from nature. They will not have developed the necessary instincts to be able to develop into true human beings. Because that was the first thing I said. The first thing that I said would happen is that they would estrange you from nature. Once you have become estranged from nature, you no longer have the ability to know right from wrong. You have an artificial, asymmetric, algorithmic implant of what reality is based upon teaching, the synthetic teaching formats that have been given to your child about what reality is. Your child develops both sides of their brains when they have tactile interface with three-dimensionality. Three-dimensionality is what develops whole brain activity. When you have children dealing with two-dimensional vicarious experiences, there is no sensual contact to the other side of the brain. The colostrum does not get the crossover that a three-dimensional holographic thinking pattern and interface with the eyes allows that brain to be developed in. Now, the reason why I'm saying that is two-dimensional experiences, vicarious experiences, flat screen experiences do not give you the senses necessary, the activity of the senses necessary to develop the entire brain. Your four senses, family, your sight, sound, smell, and taste. Listen carefully. Sight, sound, smell, and taste. Fire, air, water, and earth. The four senses and the four elements are living entities. And they are alive in these aspects. This three-dimensional sensual apparatus that you have, this processing instrument that you have called your brain, needs the senses to give you three-dimensional information so that you have three-dimensionality of thinking in your brain. Your senses help to develop your whole brain. When your senses are shut off and you cannot smell, touch, taste, or interface with what it is that you're looking at on a fucking screen, you don't develop. I get pissed off, please, you know.
That's right.
But you have no idea how passionately I feel about this when children are looking at screens.
Yeah. Like zombies. That's how they got us like
And they say, oh, look at the tree. You don't know what a fucking tree is. Look at the dog, look at the bird. You don't know what a bird is.
Yeah.
All you know is the description. You have no definition. The definitions come from touch, smell, sight. Three-dimensional sight, not two-dimensional sight. Hello? I got it. I'm getting ready to go off. They give me a clue. But three-dimensionality, as we teach in our university, three-dimensionality is developed. Brain, more synaptic linkage to information, more ganglionic growth based on learning from three-dimensionality. It develops the entire brain, not just half or a quarter of it. When you are looking at TV, you go into an alpha mode, which means that everything is bypassing the screen of your sensory energies, and then it goes right into your subconscious and then replays itself as your behavior later on. You don't even know why the child is behaving the way it is, because it's been downloaded with a program that has been licked, the strobing. They give you packs of information in the strobe. And you don't know that the strobe is actually transmitting information to the subconscious of the child. The child now acts out and you say, what's wrong with that child? You know what's wrong with the damn child. Your brain develops because we told you that the reason why the Kemites were so fond of and gave praises to the bee is because the coating of your brain is covered with a wax-like material, like beeswax. And every time you think, you create an electromagnetic signature that begins to etch out in that wax a specific pattern based upon the consciousness and thought that you are thinking. And then the neural ganglia necessary to fill in that spot then begins to fill in all of the molecules and the atoms necessary to create the neural ganglia, fill in, and now you have a learned response. Check? So if your child does not have a three-dimensional experience from very early on, the ability to cross-reference between the left and the right brain is gone.
One side.
I rest my case, Your Honor.